Do you have quorum? Good.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Could the members were on a bokangogo, if you can walk in. Marakwet East. Honor members, this is a message from the Senate. Pursuant to the provision starting under 41, I wish to report the House that I've received a message from the Senate regarding its passage of the following 6 bills. 1, the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021. 2, the Health Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2020. 3, the Investment Promotion Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 2 of 2021. 4, the Office of the County Printer Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2021. And 5, the Disaster Risk Management Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2021. And 6, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bill number 20 of 2021. Honourable members, the first message is in respect to the passage of the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021. And members will recall that this bill, which sought to provide for the participation of the private sector in the financing, construction, development, operation, or maintenance of infrastructure or development projects through public-private partnerships, was passed by the National Assembly on 30th of June 2021. The message conveys in part that the Senate considered and passed the said bill with amendments on 21st of October 2021, and now seeks the concurrence of the National Assembly in accordance with the provisions of Article 112, Clause 1, Paragraph B of the Constitution. Consequently, the Senate has proposed amendments to Clauses 6, 33, and 75, and inserted new clauses 75A, 75B, 75C, and 75D. Honourable members, the second message relates to the passage of the Health Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2020, published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 198 of 19th November 2020, and passed with amendments on 21st of October 2021. The bill seeks, in brackets, to amend the Health Act to enhance the functions of the Kenya Human Resources Advisory Council in order to empower it to advise the national and the respective county governments on health, human resources, and for connected purposes, close the quotes. That message is in respect of the passage of the Investment Promotion Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 2 of 2021, published via the Kenya Gazette Notice number 11 of 12 February 2021, seeking, in brackets, to amend the Investment Promotion Act to ensure the participation of county governments in the promotion of trade in the country and for connected purposes, close the quotes. The bill was passed with amendments on Thursday, 21st of October 2021. Members, the fourth message is in respect of the passage of the Office of the County Printer Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2021, which sought, in brackets, to establish the Office of the County Printer in each county to provide for the functions, mandate, management, and administration of the office, and for connecting purposes. The bill was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 11 of 12 February 2021 and passed with amendments on Thursday, 21st of October 2021. The fifth message relates to the Disaster Risk Management Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2021, which seeks, in brackets, to establish the National Disaster Risk Management Authority and County Disaster Risk Management Committees to provide a legal framework for the coordination of disaster risk management activities and for connecting purposes, close the quotes. The bill was published via the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 34 of 12 March 2021 and passed without amendments on Thursday, 21st of October. The sixth message relates to the County Boundaries Bill, which was published via the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 42 of 23rd March 2021 and passed with amendments on Thursday, 21st of October 2021. The bill seeks to provide for county boundaries, to provide for a mechanism for the resolution of county boundary disputes, to give effect to Article 188 of the Constitution by providing for the procedure for alteration of county boundaries, to provide for the establishment of an independent county boundaries commission, and for connecting purposes, close the quotes. Honourable members, as you may have noticed, all those bills were passed on the same day, on 21st of October, because the other house doesn't, it passes in delegations. That's when after Mashujaa Day, the delegates were able to come. The Senate, having considered and passed the 6 bills, now seeks the concurrence of this House. Our standing orders require the Speaker to cause a bill received from the Senate to be read a first time upon conveyance of its message. The House Business Committee will schedule the 5 Senate bills for first reading in tomorrow's afternoon on the paper. At the first reading, and pursuant to Provisional Standing Order 127, the bills are referred to the respective committees as follows: the Health Amendment to the Committee on Health, Investment to Committee on Trade and Industry, the Office of the County Printer to the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, the County Boundaries Bill to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, the Disaster Risk Management to the Administration and National Security Committee of this House. Our members, in considering the bills, the same committees will be expected to, among other things, apply themselves to the provisions of Articles 109, Clause 5, and 114 of the Constitution relating to origination and definition of a money bill, and make appropriate recommendations to the House as required by the Constitution. The committees should also refer to my message dated 30th of September 2021 on consideration of Senate bills. The reports of the respective committees shall assist in guiding the House with respect to the next stages and prioritization of the said bills, especially given the fact that 3 of the bills, that is the Office of the County Printer Bill, the County Boundaries Bill, and the Disaster Risk Management Bill, appear to have been republished by the Senate. I therefore request the committee to prioritize the 5 Senate bills in their respective agenda. Honourable members, with regard to the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, I direct the clerk to circulate the amendments to all the members in accordance with Standing Order 145. Further, the Senate amendments on the bill are hereby committed to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration. The committee is expected to submit its report before the amendments are considered by the House. And for avoidance of doubt, the House is reminded that the National Assembly will only consider the amendments made by the Senate to the bill and not any other part of that bill. I thank you, members. Maybe members can make their way in before I deliver the other message. I thought all those members who are standing there were on their way coming in. Some are just signing and taking off to the toilets. I thought the intention was to come in. Now, members, this is a message from the National Executive, and it relates to a request for nomination of a person for appointment to the Equalization Fund Advisory Board. Honourable members, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 42, subsection 4, relating to messages received from the Cabinet Secretary, I wish to convey to the House that I have received a message from the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning requesting for nomination of a person for appointment to the Equalization Fund Advisory Board. This is in accordance with the requirements of the Public Finance Management, in brackets, Equalization Fund Administration, close the brackets, Regulations 2021. Honourable members, Regulation 4, Sub-Regulation 1 of the Public Finance Management, Equalization Fund Administration Regulations 2021 provides as follows, and I quote, "There is established an advisory board to be known as the Equalization Fund Advisory Board, which shall comprise of A, the chairperson, who shall be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary, B, the Principal Secretary to the National Treasury or his representative designated in writing, C, the Principal Secretary for matters relating to devolution or his or her representative designated in writing, D, one person from a pastoralist community nominated by the National Assembly, emphasis on pastoralist community." So please don't write to me, it is not me. I know some of you have written to me. Don't write those kind of letters because you start circulating them on social media that you have written to me. It is not me, it is pastoralist community nominated by the National Assembly, not by the Speaker. E, one person nominated by the Senate. F, one person nominated by the Council of Governors drawn from the areas defined as marginalized. G, the Chief Executive Officer who shall be the Secretary to the Board. And H, three other persons nominated from organizations working in Equalization Fund beneficiary counties and special interest groups appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. Honourable members, Regulation number 5 further provides for the qualifications of persons appointed under paragraphs A, D, E, F, and H as follows. And D is one of those ones from the pastoral communities. A citizen of Kenya. Not the Honorable Jimmy Ngwenyi doesn't qualify. A citizen of Kenya, even though you are one, holds a degree from a university recognized in Kenya, even if it has many. C, has at least 5 years professional experience in a relevant field, even though he has. D, meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. I suspect he could maybe. In this regard, honourable members, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning is requesting the National Assembly to nominate a member for subsequent appointment in line with the Public Finance Management Equalization Fund Administration Regulations to enable full operationalization of the Equalization Fund. And I think this is important, honourable members, because this House has really deliberated on the issue of this fund. Honourable members, this is a relatively new procedure as the House is not typically involved in the nomination of persons to public offices. As such, even as I refer this message to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration, I wish to give some further guidance that the committee will be required to convert itself into a selection panel and undertake an exercise to competitively recruit and interview suitable candidates. The committee will then be expected to submit its report on the successful nominee to the House within set timelines for consideration by the House for nomination to the minister. The House is therefore accordingly guided. Thank you.
Order number 5, papers. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Jimmy Ngwenyi, or is it the majority whip? Majority whip?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021, afternoon sitting. Legal notice number 163 of 2021 relating to the retirement benefits, individual retirement benefit schemes, amendment regulations 2021. 2, legal notice number 164 of 2021 relating to the retirement benefits, occupational retirement benefit schemes, amendment regulations 2021. 3, legal notice number 165 of 2021 relating to the retirement benefits, umbrella retirement benefit schemes, amendment regulations 2021. 4, legal notice number 212 of 2021 relating to the partnerships, limited partnerships regulations 2021. 5, audited financial statements for Laikipia University for the year ended 30th June 2019. 6, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Coast Development Authority for the year ended 30th June 2019. 7, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Karumo Technical Training Institute for the year ended 30th June 2019. 8, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Water Resources Authority for the year ended 30th June 2019. 9, report of the Auditor General on the Kenya Institute of Supplies Management for the year ended 31st December 2019. 10, the Consolidated National Government Investment Report for the financial year 2020-2021. And 11, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements of NGCDF in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2019 and the certificates therein. A, Shangamwe. B, Mavoko. C, Kilome. D, Buri. E, Kinango. F, Runyenjes. G, Taveta. H, North Hor. I, Ndia. J, Jomvu. K, Moyale. I, Gem. M, Bondo. N, Kisumu Central. O, Rongo. And P, Nyaribare Masaba. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Vice Chair, Honorable Yenya, Jalango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to read the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. 1, report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Privatization Commission, and 2, the Competition Authority of Kenya, respectively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Shamala.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. Report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Ayenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Privatization Commission and the Competition Authority of Kenya, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 5 into brackets 1 and into brackets D of the Privatization Act 2005 and Section 10 into brackets B of the Competition Act 2010 respectively, and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the respective institution. A, the Privatization Commission. Number 1, Dr. Edward Kobode, PhD, member. 2, Irene Wanyoike Jerry, member. 3, Ms. Serena Anyango Orata, member. 4, Mr. Salah Adan Abdi, member. 5, CPA David J. O. Nyakango, member. And 6, Ambassador Wellington Pakia Godo as member. B, Competition Authority of Kenya. 1, Ms. Lena Munuve, member. 2, Ms. Arome K. Ashayo, member. 3, Dr. David Wanyonyi Wanyama, member. And 4, Mr. Abdi A. Muhammad, member. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Shamala. Give her the...
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 9th November 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 10, Subclause 3 of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011, and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of Colonel Retired Alfred Mutweta Mshimba and Dr. Monica Wanjiro Muriu as members of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Very well. Next one.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
First question is by the Honorable Okukaunya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for according me this opportunity. And I rise to ask question number 447, 2021, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development, and Public Works. Roman 1. Does the ministry have any plans to reclassify Mungasi Mianga Kimait Luahaha Road C32, which passes through a number of constituencies, including Teso North constituency, and to upgrade it to bitumen standards? Roman 2. Out of the total funds allocated towards construction of the said road, how much has been disbursed and utilized to date, considering that the contractor is yet to commence on the works? Roman 3, what steps is the ministry taking to ensure that the construction of the said road commences and is completed in time? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kosing. The question will be replied before the committee of Honorable Kosing. Very well, yeah. Next question by the member for Tharaka, Honorable Mulgara.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 448 of 2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Planning. 1, could the Cabinet Secretary state how much money has been set aside for payment of pensions, gratuities, and other benefits to former councillors who served in the former county councils between 1963 and 2012? Number 2, could the Cabinet Secretary state how many of these former councillors are set to benefit from the allocation? And number 3, when does the ministry plan to release the payments to the respective former councillors? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This one will be replied before the Committee on Finance and Planning. Next question is by the Honorable nominated member Janita Gatti, who has requested for its deferment, which request I accede in 2. Our question is deferred to 16th. She requested the 16th. The next question is by the member for Kericho County, Florence Bore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question 452/2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. 1, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the ownership status and the total acreage of land occupied by the Bomas of Kenya Limited in Langata constituency, Nairobi County? 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the Bomas of Kenya Limited was not compensated like any other government agency when part of its land was acquired compulsorily by the government? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Lands. Next question by the member for Marsabit County, the Honorable Safia Abdi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question number 458/2021. What plan has the ministry put in place to establish more water supply project in Marsabit County, and in particular Saku constituency, to curb increased water shortage in Marsabit County? What measure has the ministry put in place to ensure that majority of households are able to get access to water for their livestock and home use, which will go a long way in reducing conflict in Marsabit County? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Next question is by the member for Tetu, Honorable James Gishui.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question number 461 of 2021, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. What steps is the ministry taking to compensate Ms. Maureen Wanyaga, a rabbit farmer from Tetu constituency, who lost 500 rabbits after feeding them with rabbit pellets bought and supplied by Uga Feeds Limited, which allegedly contained high levels of aflatoxin, despite the products having been certified by the government agencies, such as the Kenya Bureau of Standards? 2, what steps is the ministry taking to ensure that all the regulated and certified animal feeds and drugs are safe for use by farmers, and that no farmers will continue losing their livestock as a result of the mentioned incident? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. The next question is by the member for Tharaka Nithi, Honorable Beatrice Nyaga, who has written to request deferment to the 17th of this month. The request is acceded to. Therefore, question will be asked on the 17th. The next question is by the member for Napaholo, Majority Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask a question number 463 of 2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for Defense. 1, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed report, including medical report, if any, that necessitated the discharge of 1, Mr. Barasa Bob Marvin of KDF number 159544 from Kenya Defense Forces on 14th July 2021, while undergoing training at the Recruit Training School in Eldoret. 2, what assistance is the ministry extending to Mr. Barasa following his discharge from the service? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations. Next order.
Order number 8, the Election Campaign Financing Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Election Campaign Financing Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, the Elections Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 41 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Elections Act number 24 of 2011. Order number 10, the Petroleum Products Taxes and Levies Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 42 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend various petroleum products tax and levies related laws and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the Advocates Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 43 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Advocates Act.
Yeah. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on Standing Order 259-1 and Standing Order 1. And Mr. Speaker, 1 year ago, you issued COVID protocol guidelines in as far as the sitting in this chamber is concerned. Speaker, your first guideline was on 60 members inside the chamber. You reviewed it, Mr. Speaker, to 120. And Mr. Speaker, you leading the pack of many leaders in our country who asked for the country to be opened. Now the country has been opened. Curfew has been lifted. Majority, 99% of the members of this House have been vaccinated. Our staff have also been vaccinated. Mr. Speaker, I really want to indulge you that the legislature is very, very critical in dispensing its legislative matters of representation, legislation and oversight. And Mr. Speaker, I really want you to give direction and open the House to all members in line with the current COVID protocol so that every member can sit on a chair with a mic and so that we can participate. Mr. Speaker, we really want your guidance on that because we have gone very far. Vaccinations, I think, not only for this House, but even for the country, we have reached a very substantial level. Maybe the only thing the Speaker will ask you is maybe to restrict the number of visitors not coming to the President of Parliament. But Mr. Speaker, allow us to exercise our functions in accordance with Article 93, 94, 95, so that we be part of the country. The judiciary is gradually opening up, but Mr. Speaker, I want you to give a further guidance that this House comes back to normal, our staff are back to normal, and we comply with the current COVID protocol and be part of the country. Mr. Speaker, I really want to ask you to give direction on that matter.
This is some other people wanted to weigh in. Member for Ndaragwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to appreciate the point raised by Honorable Duale, but ask that even as you consider that request, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important that we still maintain some social distance. I think it's one of the very important things that we can do, so that it makes one comfortable even when you are doing business, not just within the house, but even outside of the house.
Honorable Shamala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. While I take cognizance of the fact that it is important that every member of parliament be able to contribute from within the chamber, my concern is that even now, with the current COVID regulations, we are not complying with these regulations. Honorable Duale has said we sit at a place where there is a speaker, a mic, I beg your pardon, and yet I'm concerned because we don't want to get into a situation where we have shouting matches or confrontations within the chamber, and members, not all the majority of members have complied, but there are some who are not wearing masks and who are not maintaining social distancing. So, Mr. Speaker, in as much as you do make a decision on this, I humbly request that you take these issues into consideration.
Honorable Shamala, you saying there are some who do not have masks?
At some times, not right now, but on several, yes. If you look in that direction, Mr. Speaker, you will see members without masks. I can see at least two on this side. One has covered and there's another. I don't want to.
Is this the Honorable Abdul Samad?
I don't know.
Is it the one you may be referring to?
Might be. I can't see too clearly, Honorable Speaker.
Or the Honorable Bashir? I'm trying to look around to see who doesn't have a mask. Anyhow, your point is made, Honorable Shamala. Honorable Washira Kabinga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. While I support the Honorable Duale on this, Honorable Speaker, I think you need to be guided by the fact that we are not saying COVID is eradicated in this country. COVID is still with us, Honorable Speaker, and therefore you may want to consider probably increasing the number and not opening up completely, Honorable Speaker. As we do so also, we do urge that we continue respecting the rules that are there currently, Honorable Speaker, because even my brother, Honorable Duale, as he was addressing on the issue, he was not putting on the mask, Honorable Speaker, and I think that is not very good for us. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Tharaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also support that we need to reconsider our positions. We know very well that the COVID rules and regulations, some of them are still in force. And most importantly, we have to learn to live with the disaster, the COVID disease, just as part of life, and therefore we have to be careful at all times and ensure that our own safety is taken care of and that of Kenyans. We are not oblivious of the fact that we are just towards the election year and political rallies have started. And what we are seeing is not anywhere near compliance with the COVID regulations and rules. But that notwithstanding, we cannot throw caution to the wind. Let us be observant and encourage the country to continue observing the COVID rules and regulations. Thank you.
Member for Lipa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As much as the rules have been lifted, Mr. Speaker, it is important to realize that the virus which we are dealing with is a very mutative virus. And Mr. Speaker, in other countries, the breakthrough infections have been realized. And those countries are back to another wave. So what we should do, Mr. Speaker, yes, you can increase the number, but those protocols, the wearing of the masks, the distancings, and others must be enforced. And Mr. Speaker, lastly, if I look at the age bracket of the members here, they are still at risk. So we should not lower down our guards. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Emuru Dikir.
Mr. Speaker, thank you also. I would wish also, Mr. Speaker, to just voice my concerns on the same, Mr. Speaker, that notwithstanding the removal of the curfew and all that, Mr. Speaker, as politicians, we are usually hypocrites. Mr. Speaker, we give regulations in this House strictly, and we try to follow them strictly. But, Mr. Speaker, when we go outside there, we do rallies like normal. So I wonder sometimes, Mr. Speaker, whether when we go for rallies outside there, we suspend Corona. And then when we come here, we now bring Corona here. Mr. Speaker, I think it's also very important. As much as we would want to follow the regulations and the rules and all those protocols, let us not be hypocritical. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow members to come. Allow members to come to this House. We're almost closing this House. We need to deal with all the business that is here. Because we want to close it, we go back home. Speaker.
Member for Kilifi North.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I would like to support the sentiments of Honorable Duale. I agree with him that it's time to allow members to come into this chamber. Like what the member for Mudikira said, we've seen massive rallies out there done by politicians, the same people that come to this chamber and tell us that we have to sit and they don't do it outside there when they do all this. Mr. Speaker, yourself have been out there. You've had rallies out there, and you do not tell them to sit 1 meter apart. You know, it's important that we open so that people can exercise their mandate. And I saw the positivity rate is around 0.6%. That is 20 people out of 3,600 yesterday. Only 20 people. And the vaccinations are going on, and almost everybody in this House has been vaccinated. I think it's time that this House be opened and people exercise their mandate without any restriction. Of course, we'll keep the mask, but I would like to sit near my brother here. My seat has been here. Today I'm displaced. I'm the acting leader of minority for today. But I want to go back to my seat. I want to sit with my brother and exchange ideas, and we debate like we've always done before. Mr. Speaker, open the House.
Member Boyata.
Mr. Speaker, I'm of a contrary view, and as you make your ruling, we need to borrow from those countries who have effectively controlled COVID. Mr. Speaker, in Europe, you cannot enter parliament unless you are vaccinated. We have members of this House who have refused to be vaccinated. We can't force them. But being vaccinated, Mr. Speaker, does not mean you cannot contract COVID. So as you make your ruling, Mr. Speaker, consider the fact that COVID is still there. The latest report is that today COVID has hit Germany, the highest rate, if you look at the news, than ever before. So, Mr. Speaker, as you make your ruling, consider the fact that we have visitors coming to Parliament. Must they be vaccinated before they enter Parliament, as is a practice in countries which have been worst hit? And also, what do we do with members who have declined to be vaccinated and they still want to come to Parliament, Mr. Speaker?
Member for Community.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I speak on this matter, the country has been opened, Mr. Speaker. And in terms of vaccination, Mr. Speaker, we assume this House vaccination has been done 100%. And anybody willing, who was unwilling to be vaccinated, Mr. Speaker, then that person should not be allowed to come inside the House. Mr. Speaker, I flew to the US about 2 weeks ago, and I was invited, I went to the Senate in the US. Things are totally different, Mr. Speaker. They are only maintaining putting on masks and sanitization. So my humble request, Mr. Speaker, we allow everything to go on, but we maintain putting on masks, Mr. Speaker, and the issue of sanitization, which the House has done very well. But as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I also want the House to know that I'm the new Secretary General for Kenya, Mr. Speaker, I was elected by the NDC, and I want to thank them. I'm the de jure Secretary General of Ford Kenya, and I'm humbly requesting members to join the Simba Party so that we are part of the next government, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Member for Saku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I wish to add my voice to what Honorable Duale has raised. Honorable Speaker, this is the House of People's Representatives in Kenya, constituted by 349, but only 112 are currently able to sit here. I think in that case, then almost 2/3 of the House is missing at every sitting. My colleagues have raised the issue of COVID is not gone away. People have been vaccinated. Those are all issues out there. But I think you use your wisdom, like you have always done, under Standing Order number 1, to even increase the sitting by 2/3, or by another 1/3, because currently it's just 1/3, so that those who are willing to come in, because when we are looking at the order paper, there are some very important issues that are coming up, and many members must be present to be able to debate and contribute to them. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Emuhaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this chance, and thank you for the move by Honorable Ndwale on the issue of COVID and the opening up. I think, Honorable Speaker, when you'll be considering this, you should also put in mind that we have been here for the last session, and when you look at the last session, rarely did we have a full house, even though the COVID rules were in place, meaning that even the protocols you had put down for Parliament, they have already been kind of overtaken by events. They have been overtaken by events such that at no given time, like in the last session, when the whole House was full. Now, look at this, Honorable Speaker, when we'll be making this decision, that the tents that used to be outside there for extra sitting are no longer there and nobody thinks about it. That also includes the space that was just outside here. So, meaning that somewhat we are able to accommodate the members who are available. Now, given that we are going towards election and there are times when certain decisions may want to be taken here, where everybody has to participate, I would propose that, Honorable Speaker, you kindly retain the protocols, but at the same time open the House to all members, so that there's no any excuse for anyone, especially should we be dealing with a bill like that one of petroleum. You remember how it went, where somebody will say that for me, I could not enter the House because of the protocols. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Lamu.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kwangu mimi naona ikifunguliwa isifunguliwe yote ni sawa. Kupata akidi kwa hii nyumba, wale ambao hawaelewi akidi ni nini, nasema koram, ni tabu kwanza sasa. Kwa hivyo ikifunguliwa ni kuwapatia wale wengine wanaotafuta hizo sababu, manake hapa sasa ingine utafuta hiyo akidi na kwa shida. Kwa hivyo vovote vile ni sawa tu. Asante Bwana Spika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's not trivialize a very important issue, Mr. Speaker. Since Corona came, Mr. Speaker, we have lost so many dear friends who ought to have been here. I know death is natural. I'm surprised a bit because this is not an issue that even requires debate. It's common sense. Mr. Speaker, if I were you, and I want to appeal to you, this is the August House. This is not a village market. This is not an extension of the village barazas. We are dealing with the lives and health of the leadership of the Republic of Kenya. It's not something that we can trivialize. I really want to plead with you. Disregard that appeal. Urge all the members who have not been vaccinated to get vaccinated. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, let us lead by example and ensure that we are #1 in observing the health protocol, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, trivializing these things, I know right now everybody is trying to create a niche and a space for certain things. That is not the issue. This is not an issue that requires petty politics. It's about our lives, it's about our health, it's about our existence. So I want to plead with you, Mr. Speaker, disregard the request from my colleagues and continue to uphold, show the leadership. Let's also show the country, just like this thing, there are countries that tried, Mr. Speaker. Israel, United States of America, Italy, there are a number of countries that lifted. Within a very short time, they saw a sudden surge, and they lost so many people. Let's not be misled by the decrease in the numbers. Maybe God has a reason for this. So I want to plead with you, Mr. Speaker. Kindly, let's lead by example. Let's observe the COVID health, protocols. A time will come, maybe the whole country, a decision will be made. But for now, this is Parliament. Let's be a good example to the other Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and therefore I oppose the request from my colleague that this be lifted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, that's the way it is done in Parliament. You oppose or support. So the rest, since the appeal was made to me, leave it to me. So that, but it's important for me to hear a few of you. Let me hear the member for Mavoko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With a lot of respect to Honorable Ndwale. Mr. Speaker, the 1 million question we should ask ourselves, how many Kenyans have been vaccinated so far? How many parliamentarians here in this house have been vaccinated? Mr. Speaker, I agree with members who say we should not trivialize this matter of COVID. Mr. Speaker, COVID is a disease that mutates every day. A first world like Russia, Mr. Speaker, are dying every day. Where are we as Kenyans? How can we assume that filling this house is a way of making this house be active? Mr. Speaker, look at these seats. At what point do we fill this house for the last 4 months, Mr. Speaker? I think, Mr. Speaker, I agree with members. Let us observe the COVID protocols until and when that time comes and we are okayed by the Ministry of Health and the world over. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Alego Usonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I agree with everyone that it is important for us to observe these protocols. But, Honorable Speaker, in line of the new regulations, where the country is now free, I think it's important for us to free this house also. Secondly, when members complain that when we fill the house, we will be able to, we will be exposed to COVID. Some of the members are attending very large rallies outside there, and they are not caring about the health of the members of the public. Yeah, last week, Honorable Ndwale was in a very big rally in Juja, where he was even accusing the president of some stuff. So I think let us lead by example by failing to attend large rallies, and when we come here, let us free members. In fact, Honorable Speaker, there are some members who have not had a chance to speak in this house because of the COVID protocols. When are they going to speak? And their constituents are waiting for them. Let us free the house. That is my view. Thank you.
Let them try to catch the speaker's eye. Member for Kitutu Church and North.
Put me on. I don't have a card. I'm on. Okay.
That's the more reason you should not speak.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a chance to contribute on this emotive issue. Mr. Speaker, we should not treat COVID normally. Otherwise, it will treat us abnormally. Mr. Speaker, you have seen that countries which have been able to manage COVID, like a country like New Zealand, like China. When they see cases, 2-3 cases of COVID, they close down their borders. We must protect ourselves. Mr. Speaker, how many people have died out of COVID? Although we are not being told, some of our members who have passed on the last 1 year have died because of COVID. A lot of our constituents are dying of COVID. And let us not take a bad example that, oh, some of the politicians are having rallies all over the country without masks and whatnot. We should not copy wrong examples, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this House should provide for this country how the Kenya people should behave against COVID. And we must ensure, Mr. Speaker, I beg you, don't allow what my former boss is asking for. Don't allow it, because you will be condemning us to death. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And I know you rarely come into the chamber on account of member for Seme.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is not an issue that can really be decided by numbers or voting. This is actually a technical issue. When we closed on technical grounds. Even the opening of the country that we have said, basically the only thing that has happened is that the curfew has been removed. But even that announcement that removed the curfew indicated that all the other measures like social distancing, sanitizing, masks should remain. So this House cannot go ahead now and actually disobey that. We'll be giving a wrong message of what the president said. Two, being vaccinated is not foolproof. What is foolproof is that, what is sure is that if you're vaccinated, even if you get the disease, you have less a chance of getting serious illness, but you can get the disease and spread it. So that is still there. Now we are comparing ourselves with other countries. The other countries that are opening us have got 60–70% vaccination. We are at about 2% or so of the whole population. So how can we make that comparison? Further, Mr. Speaker, even the countries with the 60 or 70% vaccination that have opened up are having problems. Europe is having problems. I'm sure in Britain, I know because of people there, the numbers are going up. In Germany, the numbers are going up. Israel was the first country to have 100% vaccination. The numbers are going up. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it would be wrong to make a decision on the basis of what we feel politically. I think it has to be technical, and we should actually not open this House until we have the data that indicates we should. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kitutu Masaba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to also add my voice to this very emotive matter. Honorable Speaker, COVID is still ravaging the country. But as you look at it, Honorable Speaker, we want to invoke your discretion, because the number that is attending currently is about 112. And I would urge, Honorable Speaker, that within your discretion, this number can be increased slightly. And also urge the honorable members present, those who have not even been vaccinated, to be vaccinated, because if you are seated here and you have not been vaccinated, then it also shows that you are not responsible. We need to take note that we follow the conditions, but it will do us no harm, Honorable Speaker, that you can increase the numbers to levels that would also resonate with what is happening in the country. With that, Honorable Speaker, I would urge that you increase the number.
Member from Vita.
Bwana Spika, nataka kukubaliana na Mheshimiwa Duale vile alivyozungumza ya kuwa tusiwe watu ambao kwamba tunazungumza lugha nyingine hapa na tukiwa kule nje tunazungumza lugha nyingine. Sio kwa Wakenya hawatuoni. Kila mmoja hapa, kila mmoja ikifika siku ya Ijumaa, Bwana Spika, anaregea mashinani na adhara ya watu ambao kwamba inawazingira si chache. Kisha hapa tuweke sheria, yani sisi wenyewe kifalme ya kwa hapa hatufai kukaa baina ya watu wawili. Lakini tukifika kule nje Hakuna hata siku moja umesikia mtu akizungumza katika mkutano wa hadhara wa kisiasa akianza kuzungumza lugha ya kuwapeaneni nafasi watu wavute pumzi. Na kisha Bwana Spika, wengi hapa wamezungumza ya kuwa kuna tatizo nchi nyingine ile ambao idadi ya watu wamefanya vaccination ni kubwa. Lakini pia tukumbuke ya kwa mwenyewe Mwenyezi Mungu alivyoamua, hapa pia vifo vetu sio kama vakule. Huku miili yetu imeweza kukubali, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo tusiwe ambao kwamba, na mimi nimeleta Bwana Spika, ikiwa unakumbuka kuhusiana na ule mswada wangu, lazima nchi ifunguliwe sasa hivi. Suluhisho Bwana Spika ni kwa anayetaka kuingia katika jumba hili aoneshe tu cheti chake ya kuwa amedungwa sindano yake ya vaccination, watu waendelee kuishi na maisha yao. Kila tukikaa namna hii, na sisi hii ndio Wakenya wote wanatuangalia sisi sura zetu, ni kitu gani ambacho kwamba tunafanya na ulaghai gani ambao kwamba tutakuwa tunaufanya na unafiki, ikiwa tunaanza kuzungumza ya kwa lazima tuweke mambo ya kupeana nafasi ndani ya bunge na ilhali nje tunajazana watu kwa wingi sana.
Member for Wajir South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do concur with my colleagues. One thing that is very important is that we must acknowledge that COVID-19 is no longer considered only as pandemic, but it is endemic. Endemicity of condition, endemicity of this disease does determine the level of virulence as well. And herd immunity is actually balanced through that. What I'm only trying to say here is that albeit opening up the economy, or albeit opening up pubs and clubs and time of closure is taken away, it does not mean that the condition continues, does not mean that the condition will not continue to be deteriorating in terms of the disease. And therefore, we must understand and undertake that rallies that are undertaken can become the hub of the spread of the disease. And therefore, we must curb political rallies that are totally unnecessary. I stop there. Thank you very much.
Member for Mogotio.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this chance also to say one or two about this disease. I think, as the President said, that the country is being opened. However, we see that this disease is still with us. We are still losing the loved ones, although the positivity rate has come down to around 0.5 to 1 point something, which indicates good management of the disease. I still believe that this disease is still dangerous, and I agree with Honorable Nyikal that let us keep the protocols. I don't think it costs much if we actually keep the masks on, because you don't know when you can get this disease, and it's quite dangerous when it actually strikes. We have seen people who have actually been vaccinated. General Powell of US had been fully vaccinated, but he was actually brought down by this disease. So I think we should not really underrate this disease, and I think unless we all agree that everybody who is working here in Parliament, not only the members of Parliament, but all members of staff are vaccinated, then we can agree to maybe allow opening up. Otherwise, I second that we actually keep the protocols in place. Thank you, Speaker.
Member for Kwanza.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I want to agree with what my friend has said. Let's not be emotional. Positivity rate is low. Yes, it's 0 point something, but it still come up. I think, to me, the Speaker, we should actually keep the protocol. Otherwise, we'll see, and remember one time, they said the rate was very low. His Excellency the President went to Kisumu, and they know we saw what happened. The whole nation is looking at us. Let's not be emotional. We come from different places. And this is a place where everybody comes from different places. I think let's not be emotional. I think let's keep the protocol, wait, and I request, Mr. Speaker, that you look at this from the technical point of view. I am not. I'm an economist. I don't know anything about the diseases. Let's have the technical team advise you. Let's cover the advice by the technical team. And then we see the whole world is looking at us. We make a mistake here, we'll be the ones to be blamed. The Speaker, let's keep the protocol. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was answering a question which was brought. Yeah, and then I realized you gave me. But Honorable Speaker, let me weigh in this matter. That yes, it's true that the country has partially been open. It's the curfew that was lifted. But at the same time, truth be told, like what members have said, is that the disease has not gone. It is still with us. And we must be quite careful how we handle a situation where I take the authority of Honorable Nyekal, that we are doing about 5 to 7% vaccination, when other countries that have done higher vaccination percentages are still having problems, others opening and closing. So I want to persuade the Honorable Speaker that even though there are politicians out there who are holding rallies without taking due consideration to protocols, the COVID protocols, let them carry their luggage, let them carry their own baggage there. But Honorable Speaker, don't carry ours, because in this house, we are a house of rules. We cannot just mess because we think other people are messing. We can as well do with what we have now, the current arrangement. And even if we were to review, you review it in accordance with the reviewed COVID-19 protocols. That is my submission, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that we stick to our protocols for COVID. Mr. Speaker, I want to give this House a personal experience. I'm fully vaccinated. My wife was fully vaccinated, but she ended up getting COVID from our daughter. And things were very terrible for her, despite she was vaccinated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is not an issue just to imagine. This is a very, very serious issue. Mr. Speaker, if you look over the weekend, Latvia as a country has vaccinated 80% of their population. But as we speak today, this week, Latvia have gone on a lockdown because the disease is within the community. Mr. Speaker, the most serious part of opening up this chamber is that we have our colleagues who are not fully vaccinated. We have rallies over the weekend. And then on Monday, Tuesday, we are in this chamber whereby we are not even sure of a deletion. The whole afternoon, Macau here is sweating because the aircon is not working, Mr. Speaker. We must maintain our full COVID protocols, Mr. Speaker. Let's not trivial on this issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the statistics of the country right now, we are just vaccinated less than 5% of Kenyans. We members of parliament over the weekend, we are interacting with those members of the public. The members of public at the constituency level, we still have Kenyans dying of COVID, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are statements which might look obvious, popular, but when we are dealing with the oath of the members and the leadership of the country, which is the National Assembly, we should not look popular anymore. We must show the country we maintain COVID protocols so that Kenyans can follow those COVID protocols to save other Kenyans. Honorable Duale, you are my friend. But this one, we can't agree. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at this chamber right now, we have seats which are reserved for members of parliament to come and debate here, but they are not here. They are empty. What are we trying to show Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, I will urge you and beg you, you are a man of wisdom. Reject that proposal from Honorable Duale and we maintain the COVID protocol after the experience underwent with my wife. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Nominee 001.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And as I rise to also weigh in on this issue, the Honorable Member who have just spoken was not even wearing his mask properly and was pretending to be one of the proponents of keeping COVID-19 protocols. It should start with you. Honorable Speaker, I think there have been review of this protocol over time. When we started, we had only a few members because we were staying at a social distance of more than 5 meters or 6 meters. Honorable Speaker, currently the reviewed protocol is that we can stay, as far as we wear our mask properly, a distance of 1.5 meters, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think it is time that we give more members room to come into the House and debate, Honorable Speaker. And I think as now where we are at around 2 meters from each other, Honorable Speaker. If we can just make it 1.5 meters, Honorable Speaker, I think more members can access the chamber so that we can also have more contribution, Honorable Speaker. Unlike some of us who come very early, Honorable Speaker, some come a bit late and they find that the seats are already occupied and they may be having important issues that they will discuss. Honorable Speaker, but we should lead by example and always putting on our mask properly, Honorable Speaker, because properly means you have to wear your mask over your nose. It is even better you leave your mouth and cover your nose, because your mouth you can cover with your lips, but the nose can never be closed. It is always open, Honorable Speaker, and during sneezing, you can really project some organism, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I think I support Honorable Ndwale that we should review our COVID-19 protocols. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Ogashogo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, before you consider the request that has been made by Honorable Duale, it's good, first of all, to see where we are coming from and where we are going. Mr. Speaker, I know that for you to review the seating arrangement in this House, you've always followed the requisite advice from the technical people. In my view, I will not say that you review to increase the numbers or you reduce. But, Mr. Speaker, within your wisdom, I'm sure you are able to seek some advice from a technical committee which can advise you on how to deal with this matter. And, Mr. Speaker, the request by Honorable Duale was very good for the members generally. But particularly, it doesn't seem to add up, because there is no member who has come into this House and has not gotten a space to sit. So as we go on, because there are some matters that might also attract a lot of interest of the members, and during the voting, I think it's important that as you look into this matter, it is not within your discretion, neither at the discretion of this House through the voting or any other process, but through an advice of a technical committee which might comprise of health officials who are well versed with the matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that being the leader that we are, we should always lead by example. No matter what happens out there, we should always be on the right. And therefore, I want to say we should not put our guards down as pertains COVID protocols. And therefore, I think we should continue following the protocols as we were doing before. Thank you.
Member for Pokot South.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to weigh on the matter. Honorable Speaker, reviews are compulsory. That is the truth. Whether to increase or reduce, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, the review must be done. But then what guides the review, Honorable Speaker? This is my suggestion. In terms of people coming to the House and lacking seats, Honorable Speaker, that should not be the reason. I've been in this House, and I've never seen anybody coming and missing a seat, Honorable Speaker. That's the truth. Nobody. These are sufficient seats, except when we were doing that motion on some report of security. That's what I saw, then it is full house. That's number one, Honorable Speaker. Number two, if you look at the truth of what is going on, maybe people come into the House, Honorable Speaker, and wear this mask because we are on a TV or live discussion. You go to the lobby when people are having tea. What happens? Everybody's okay. To be honest, Speaker, people come and talk here as if we are talking in a moon. It's not true. You go to the lobby here when we are taking tea. It is true, Honorable Speaker. We are just talking and having tea like everybody else or everywhere, as if we are in your house. That's the truth. And this is Parliament, Honorable Speaker. So if we come to the House and lie to ourselves that we should not review, and when we leave here, people go to tea. You follow them, Honorable Speaker. They will be having no masks. In fact, there was an example, Honorable Speaker, in one of the newspapers. And what was happening was this person was showing a caricature of Kenyans discussing about Tanzanians not having masks. And you know how they were wearing, Honorable Speaker? They had their mask at the chin, and now discussing and saying, look at Tanzanians, they have no masks. And yet, Honorable Speaker, actually the Kenyans themselves have no masks, Honorable Speaker. So reviewing is compulsory, Honorable Speaker. What you need to do maybe is to look at those protocols and also talk with those officials, that is health officials. But, Honorable Speaker, people talk because they are only watching in camera. When they leave this house, no mask, they are drinking tea, they are having lunch, they are discussing about what happened over the weekend. They even don't know where they came from over the weekend. Honorable Speaker, review is compulsory. How you are going to do it, you are guided by the health officers. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well, I think that suffices. And as you know, the protocols guide us in what we do. But of course, it is fair to appreciate and acknowledge what has happened in other areas, places of worship. There has been some increase, but public transport, places where you go in the evenings, most of you, they have also been reviewed. So there's nothing wrong with a review, save that we will be advised accordingly as to what is best for us in the circumstances that we are a chamber of 349, 350 in fact. So if we were to follow what was designated for others, perhaps there may be an upward review in the increase of numbers. We don't want any member to say that they have been unable to come and vote or participate on account that it wasn't possible to come because they fear that they are going to be infected by many of you. Yet they don't fear you when you are eating mandazi. So when you are out there chewing mandazi, nobody is worried about the other. But we obviously we already in the process of seeking some technical advice on the matter. Indeed, I can only thank the Honorable Duale for raising it today, because we, as the administration, were already in the process of seeking some advice on how best to address this situation. Because, see, constantly, sometimes you may even have a joint sitting of the House. When we have a joint sitting of the House, obviously 120 would be a very limited number. So, but it's good to at all times take the advice from the health professionals responsible for that. So that will come. Communication to addressing that issue will come. But it was necessary also to hear many of you, including the member from Matungulu, so that he doesn't think that he's alone. And also, of course, the Honorable Manyora, who has since finished his participation in the chamber. Let's move to the next order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole House.
Sorry, honourable members. Before we move to that order, I have this communication to make. As you are aware, honourable members, the Waqf Bill, National Assembly Bill number 73 of 2019, seeks to provide for the establishment of the Waqf Commission and administration of Waqf property, and for connected purposes, is due for consideration in Committee of the Whole House in accordance with the requirements of Standing Order 130. To this end, a schedule of the various amendments proposed to be considered at the Committee of the Whole House has been published in the order paper as notice of amendments. Other than the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, the member for Garissa Township, the Honorable Ede Duale, the member from Mbita, the Honorable Milio Diambo, and the member from Mvita, the Honorable Abdul Samad Nasir, have given notices of proposed amendments to the bill. Honourable members, I wish to inform you that I have since received, through the Office of the Clerk, a memorandum from the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims raising several issues with respect to the amendments proposed by the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to clauses 2 and 8 of the bill. Honourable members, just as a way of highlight, the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs has proposed amendments to clause 2 of the bill to introduce a new definition of the term Hajj. Further, the committee proposes an amendment to clause 8 in order to expand the functions of the Waqf Commission to include coordination, licensing, supervision, and regulation of services relating to Hajj in Kenya and representation of Kenya in matters relating to Hajj. These are contained in the proposed new paragraphs GC and GD. Honourable members, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, in the memorandum to the Speaker, objects to the inclusion of the amendments touching on Hajj. The Council contends, among other grounds, that the proposed amendments to the bill in clauses 2 and 8 in the proposed new paragraphs GC and GD are misplaced, as they propose to bring Hajj matters under the Waqf Commission, which conventionally deals with Waqf property and related trusteeship. Honourable members, consequently, I have examined the proposed amendment to clause 2 and the proposed new paragraphs GC and GD in clause 8 against the provisions of Standing Order 133, subsection 5. Honourable members, Standing Order 133, subsection 5 provides as follows, and I quote, "No amendment shall be permitted to be moved if the amendment deals with a different subject or proposes to unreasonably or unduly expand the subject of the bill, or is not appropriate, or is not in logical sequence to the subject matter of the bill." Close the quote. Honourable members, looking at the long title of the bill, it is clear that the Waqf Bill 2019 only seeks to provide for the establishment of the Waqf Commission and administration of Waqf property and for connected purposes. Indeed, this is further espoused in the application clause of the bill in clause 3, which provides that once enacted, the new law shall apply to the making and administration of Waqf property. It is on this basis that clause 8 of the bill provides for the functions of the Waqf Commission, which, from a close reading of the bill, or relates to the administration of Waqf property as the subject of the proposed legislation. The bill has no single provision dealing with the Hajj, not even a remote mention of pilgrimage. You may therefore wish to agree with me that the proposed amendment by the committee to clause 2 and new paragraphs GC and GD to clause 8 by the committee and the Honorable Abdul Samad Nasir MP relating to the subject of Muslim Hajj are contrary to provisions of Standing Order 133 subsection 5 as they deal with a different subject matter and propose to unreasonably and unduly expand the subject of the bill. At this stage, the question that the Speaker has to address is, if the proposed amendments deal with a different subject matter, should they be admitted for consideration and thereafter a vote by the House? Honourable members, it is worth noting that if the impugned proposed amendments were to be admitted for consideration, the House would undoubtedly offend the provisions of Article 118 of the Constitution on the question of public participation. These are new matters for which the general public was never invited to have a chance to interact with and give views on. Honourable members, whereas I commend the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for discharging their mandate in consideration of the Waqf Bill, culminating in their report to the House and a schedule of proposed amendments, I find that the proposed amendment to clause 2, proposing to define the word Hajj, and the proposed new paragraphs GC and GD under clause 8, proposing to expand the conventional role of the Waqf Commission beyond the administration of Waqf property and trusteeship, are contrary to the provisions of Article 118 of the Constitution with regard to public participation and Standing Order 133.5, and hence shall not be considered at the Committee of the Whole House stage. The rest of the amendments proposed by the committee to the bill are admissible for consideration by the Committee of the Whole House, as well as the other amendments proposed by the other members. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you, members. Now, Honorable Major Diambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first let me just indicate that my constituency is Suba North. It used to be Mbita, but now it's Suba North. I would also want to indicate, Mr. Speaker, that I'm personally ready to proceed with my amendments, but I've been given an indication that Honorable Sheriff may want us to do some harmonization. So if that is the way he wants to go, I'm really okay. And I also just want to encourage our colleagues that whenever members bring amendments, the best way to go about it is to discuss with members, because that's how we operate, Mr. Speaker. There's nothing that is ever cast in stone. We convince each other, and we are very reasonable people. We convince each other, and even some of the amendments before they come to the House, they are possible it's possible to drop them. It's possible to harmonize. We've done it before. I've received, we've actually started discussions with even Honorable Duale. He gave me a lawyer, and we have looked at some of the things. There are some we agree. Actually, a lot of them we agree. But I'm very willing. But otherwise, personally, I'm ready to proceed. But if they want us to discuss further, I am ready, able, and willing for that as well.
Majority Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I want to comment your guidance, Honorable Speaker, and also in line with what Honorable Mili has said, via Standing Order 131, Honorable Speaker, seek that the Honorable Abdul Samad and the Honorable Adan Duale, together with the Honorable Mili Odhiambo, I've had a discussion with them this afternoon, Honorable Speaker, And what is coming out of the discussion, Honorable Speaker, is that they just have a few issues to polish so that we can go through the committee of the whole House as one ago, Honorable Speaker. With that, Honorable Speaker, I would seek that you step down this bill rather than going into the committee of the whole House this afternoon. If you can give us an appropriate time, preferably, Honorable Speaker, tomorrow, it will be good enough such that the three would have harmonized their details so that we can move cohesively. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I indulge you.
Honorable Murugana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was going to move the proposed amendments in the Committee of the Whole House, and when I got the proposed amendments, I also had issues with the Section 2 and Section 8. The reason is I have tried to stretch my imagination as to when we ever in that committee discussed about urge. And I'm not disowning this. On a serious note, I do not recollect. If there are any members of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee here can confirm that we really did this in a very nice way. But these introductions have a few of question marks. I will proceed to hand over the matter to the chairman so that he's able to look at this and answer where this came from. Because in essence, anyway, they are dropped, and I think you've rightly dropped them. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Shakir Shabil.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. And I thank you for your guidance in respect of the issue of Hajj. I myself, Honorable Speaker, had raised an objection to the Waqf bill, the amendment, and had, as instructed, forwarded it to the clerk, Madam Sarah, on the 29th of October 2021. I note that my objection was not captured in the order paper. I have been following through, and I've been told that there might have been an oversight. I'm requesting, Mr. Speaker, sir, that if this matter is to be heard at a later date, the objection that I had raised in writing as required by the procedure now be incorporated.
Were you objecting to the entire bill or to a particular?
No, I was objecting to the paragraph 8, C and D.
This one of
Hajj, yes.
The functions.
The Hajj, yes. But you see, sir,
that is now it is no longer subject of consideration.
But Honorable Speaker, sir, there were also other issues covered in the same objection. And,
not objection, not objection. Maybe amendment, proposed amendment.
Proposed amendment, yes, sir.
Because you know, how do you now just object?
It was my amendment to amend. So may I request, Mr. Speaker, through your kindness, if the clerk could incorporate those, consider and incorporate those amendments in the next order paper so that they're recorded. That
but not this one dealing with this particular aspect, because this will not be included.
I understand, sir, that there are other aspects here also covered.
Which you had submitted.
That's correct, sir. I submitted it as required by the clerk, but I didn't see them in the order paper.
Well, can you find out from the deputy clerk, Sarah Kioko? Why don't you go and why don't you, when you looked at the order paper, Honorable Shakil?
Yes, sir.
You should have walked to her office and demanded to know from her why your amendments is not, and if you handed it over to her.
Honorable Speaker, I did call her directly. She is not in Parliament. She referred me to the Director of Legal, Madam Vane, who was not able to, I couldn't get through to her. The whole of today I have tried to follow up. But it was, they were telling me in any case, it's going to come up this afternoon so that whatever you are asking may not be will not be done unless it is postponed.
No, Honorable Shakil.
Yes, sir.
If you have other amendments,
yes, sir,
it is your right to propose them.
Yes, sir.
If they are not unreasonable,
yes, sir,
they should be included. And the decision is not by the clerk to do. It is by me.
Sir, I'm then surprised that it hasn't come to you, sir.
So go to the go. I don't know. Is it the? The Deputy Director, Legislative and Procedural Services, Mr. Kirui, will deal with that matter.
Thank you, sir.
Very well. I think, do we need to do this? Honorable Bashir, is there anything?
Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your sober guidance on the fact that you actually excluded the aspect of Hajj on that bill, because it actually deviated from the main aspect of the entire bill. And it's also shocking to learn that a member of the committee confirming that he's even shocked to learn that how it even came into the committee report. So I think that tells you that it's important, and I thank also the majority whip that is standing down so that we build consensus. This morning we had a caucus ourselves with Abdul Samad and others, Honorable Abdul Samad and others, where we agreed that the way to go is to build consensus, and I'm happy that Honorable Mili has actually agreed. And you know, sometimes we have had a number of presentations from the consumers of this bill ultimately, who are largely and the majority are Muslims. And so their concerns are that, look, we are the ones who are going to consume this bill, and yet we have issues that have been brought in that will ultimately not be good or will affect how the Waqf bill or the Waqf Commission will operate. So I'm very, very happy that we stand down the whole thing so that we build consensus and agree way forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Abdul Samad.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the great wisdom. Mr. Speaker, you will note that my amendments on the issue of Hajj came after the committee proposed, and I only said that there's actually no need for them to be the ones handling Hajj. If anything at all, they should just license the Hajj operators. With that said, now that you've made that ruling, automatically mine takes a back seat. And Mr. Speaker, I did have a word with Honorable Mili, and we did have a meeting with a number of other members earlier on. With your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, and the leadership of this House, we would greatly be honored, Mr. Speaker, if you allow us to meet as a caucus by tomorrow, and then allow us also to meet with Honorable Mili. Of course, all this came at a time when we were all on recess. Some of us chair committees, so we could not sit down with Mili because we were out of Nairobi during that particular period. But if you allow us, Mr. Speaker, that tomorrow we meet as a caucus, then we meet with Honorable Mili, and with your permission and indulgence, by maximum, by Thursday, we can be able to come up and finalize on this matter. We beg for your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, on this matter, so that at the same time, and I understand where Honorable Duale is coming from, but at the same time, Mr. Speaker, I don't want a situation where Honorable Mili feels that we have ambushed her, and at the same time, I want the caucus that is there on the users of this bill to totally understand and digest it. And this is something that probably myself and Honorable Duale can sit down with our colleagues and finalize on this.
So
with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker.
Now you are suggesting Thursday. Honorable Duale.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the biggest problem we had, you have resolved it using our own Standing Order 133, that and Article 118 of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, this bill has my name as a former majority leader, and I have the history of how we worked with this bill. This bill originated from a task force appointed by the former Attorney General Gidi Mugai Emeritus, where the Muslim leaders and stakeholders put a lot of effort and then went to cabinet, then came to this House. And the Speaker, as you correctly said, and this will be one of the communications that you will be remembered for, because myself and Abdul Samad and many members of the Muslim leadership, we were wondering with how Waqf and Hajj are fundamentally two different things, Mr. Speaker. So this afternoon you have solved, I think, 80%. What is remaining, Mr. Speaker, is nothing. I mean, the committee, what they have done, the amendments are very, very agreeable to all of us. There are few amendments, Honorable Millie, which will sort it out. And I have told her that it's like allowing Muslims to participate in the election of the Pope. Then that Pope will not become a Catholic Pope. So what some of the amendments of Honorable, and I agree with her. She sat with the Muslim lawyers from Jamia. We are doing very well. And where we disagree, it will come to the floor. So, Mr. Speaker, because even the Attorney General asked whether the bill, and it has stayed there for too long, I really want to indulge our colleagues, and Honorable Nasir and the rest. Let's have a morning sitting with Honorable Millie, and then in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, we deal with this matter, and I support the majority whip. Now that you have resolved the matter of Hajj, I think the rest that is something we can all agree and convince each other, including my amendment is just one. The amendment of the committee, we have looked at it, it's okay. So there is only the Honorable Millie, which again she has done more consultation with our lawyers, with the Muslim legal team. Tomorrow morning, I think with Honorable Nasir, we will look at the few points that we disagree with Honorable Millie, and Honorable Millie is a person I know that, as she said, it's give and take. We will convince each other. So, Mr. Speaker, I really want to ask Honorable Nasir, let's go by what the whip said, so the Speaker can have a position that tomorrow at 3, the first item like today, we have it, the Waqf bill, then we stay and complete it tomorrow, so that this bill is very, very important to the Muslim community, and this House will go into history as one of the parliaments that did a very good government-initiated bill that will help the Muslim community sort out issues of trustees and resources in building the Islamic infrastructure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, I see the Honorable Sankoko, so he wants to elect the Pope.
Honorable Speaker, first of all, as the members have congratulated you, Honorable Speaker, I've always, and time and again, said that you are a mobile encyclopedia when it comes to the constitution of this country and when it comes to laws, Honorable Speaker. With just one statement, Honorable Speaker, you have solved an issue that was disturbing us, that was very emotive, because when it comes to the issues of faith, Honorable Speaker, we can't just be dealing it superficially, Honorable Speaker. And as Honorable His Excellency Ndwele has said, that you cannot have a Muslim electing a Pope, Honorable Speaker. We need to consult, Honorable Speaker, with even Spunkem, and consult with lawyers from Jamia Mos, Honorable Speaker, so that this thing we can build consensus, Honorable Speaker. And we don't want to delay it further. I had seen this bill for a long time ago when it was in the Attorney General, Honorable Speaker, and it is really delaying a lot, and sometimes the issue of resources, especially that is attached to faith, Honorable Speaker, they are very emotive. So I indulge you, as His Excellency Ndwele has said, that let us do it tomorrow. Let them build consensus tomorrow early in the morning. And if possible, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, because she's listening to me, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, she's from my faith, the Christian faith, Honorable Speaker. She can even just forget about dealing with other issues. Some of us had some amendment, but we realize, let us wait for the Christian law so that we can do the amendment and allow our brothers to do with their issues, because when it comes to faith, it is something that sometimes it's concealed. It is above all human beings. Honorable Speaker, I really thank you and salute you. Tumekutolea kofia. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Well, it looks like the consensus is tomorrow afternoon, Honorable Abdul Samad. I think also it's give and take. Honorable Millie Odhiambo saying it's give and take. The whip and suggested tomorrow afternoon. Honorable Duale suggests tomorrow afternoon. Honorable Sankok, Honorable Millie Odhiambo was ready even today, but she is willing to concede for taking out the business from the order paper for today. So would you also...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, this is a house of the democracy. You had approved a request by myself that I chair a committee tomorrow morning, but I will try and request my colleagues to sit in for me, because this is a very, very sensitive matter, and I will request that we meet tomorrow. I will request my colleagues to sit in for me for tomorrow's committee meeting. It will be a very, very rare occurrence, Mr. Speaker. I think since I've been elected as a chair of PIC, I've only missed once, and that was because I was unwell. So this will be the second time, and it's because I had other national issues to take care of.
But if you could do before, if you could come here between 8 and 9, or
that would be
between
best.
8 and 10.
Yes, yes.
I'm sure the Honorable Millie Odhiambo is a very reasonable person.
Yes. Yes, actually, we'll agree with them on the time. I agree that we meet first thing in the morning, and then from there.
Honorable Millie, you want to say something?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've actually looked at some of the issues that were sent to me by the Muslim lawyers, and I'm willing to drop quite a number of the ones they were not happy with. So we can even meet this afternoon after this. There's no reason even to meet in the morning. You can continue with your meeting in the morning. I can show you the ones you are unhappy with, and then we can just agree. It's a very short meeting. 10 minutes is enough for me.
Absolutely. So let's take it out of the order paper for today, with on condition that it will be on the order paper tomorrow afternoon. Honorable Omlele.
Thank you, Speaker. It's just a small point that I wish to make this afternoon, Honorable Speaker. It has come to my notice that every time a lot of members in this House speak, and they say that I give indulgence. It's just a point of speech, English, really. You cannot give indulgence. They can seek for your indulgence, Speaker. I have heard it from the Honorable Duale, I've heard it from the Honorable Sankok, I've heard it from all manner of members here, saying that they are giving indulgence to the Speaker. It is them to seek your indulgence. It is only you who can indulge. It is none of these members can indulge in this House. It is your privilege. It is your prerogative. And I think going forward, members should take note of that.
Well, and they are accordingly educated. They are accordingly educated, I think.
Absolutely. The Honorable Omlele is a very good student and a very good master of the language of the Queen. Absolutely, it is you seek indulgence from the person who is supposed to extend some magnanimity to you. Therefore, it is to every one of us, we have to approach the chair and seek indulgence from the chair so that we are permitted to do what it is we want to do. Absolutely correct.
Now, Honorable Sankok, you...
Honorable Speaker, I'm quite educated today, Honorable Speaker, but you have to understand some of us. Our English teacher sometimes was a mixture of Kamba, Meru, and Kisii, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so when we talk, as far as you understand what we meant, because yes, I said I give indulgence, now I change to I seek your indulgence, and I think Honorable Omlele, being in the Speaker's panel, is well versed with these issues. He should take us through some of these issues. But you understand, you know, sometimes even there was a day I was speaking Masai here, and I was shocked that you also understood the Masai that I spoke. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And you will be on the chair very soon. Let's move to the next order.
Order number 13, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2020, second reading.
Honorable Kioni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to move that the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2020, be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, the main object of the bill is to amend the Kenya National Commission. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act number 14 of 2011, in order to merge the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and the National Gender and Equality Commission in order to retain the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission as established under Article 59(1) of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 59(1) of the Constitution establishes the Kenya National Human Rights Commission and Equality Commission. Article 59(4). Article 59(4). I'm trying to get. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Article 59(1) of the Constitution establishes the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, while Article 59(4) gives Parliament the responsibility of enacting legislation to give full effect to the Constitution with regard to protection of human rights, including legislation on restructure or restructuring of the Commission into two or more separate commissions. Mr. Speaker, Parliament in 2011 established the three commissions, and that is the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, the National Gender and Equality Commission, and Commission on Administrative of Justice, instead of establishing one commission. First, the National Human Rights Commission and the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, as envisaged at Article 59(1). Article 59(4), which gives Parliament authority to enact legislation to restructure the Commission into two or more separate commissions, envisaged that Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission should have been established first. Mr. Speaker, Section 8 of the said Act of 2011, as read together with Article 59(2), reads the function of Kenya National Human Rights Commission to include, among others, promoting respect and protection and observance of human rights, monitoring, investigation, and reporting on observance of human rights, and receiving and investigating complaints about alleged abuses of human rights. The Act, however, excludes from the functions of the Kenya National Human Rights Commission the duty to receive and investigate complaints about alleged abuses of human rights relating to the violation of the principle of equality and freedom from discrimination. And I hope members will note that distinction, that, if I may repeat, that the Act excludes from the functions of Kenya National Human Rights Commission the duty to receive and investigate complaints about alleged abuses of human rights relating to violation of the principle of equality and freedom from discrimination, which are vested with GEC, the National Gender and Equality Commission. The Act also bars the Kenya National Human Rights from reporting on compliance with obligations under international and regional treaties and conventions relating to the rights of special interest groups, including women, children, persons with disability, and marginalized groups on rights relating to equality and non-discrimination. Mr. Speaker, I am trying to, Mr. Speaker, let me get this thing right. This thing is failing me. Yes, technology. The Act bars the Kenya National Human Rights from handling issues. I've mentioned issues that relate to the special interest groups, and really it's reporting on international and regional treaties on their rights, and especially on issues of equality and non-discrimination. But Chapter 4 of our Constitution of the Bill of Rights protects various rights and fundamental freedoms, which are an entitlement of each individual, including but not limited to the right of life, equality and freedom from discrimination, human dignity, freedom and security of the person, and the right to a fair trial. These rights apply to all persons regardless of age, sex, social status, and other divisions. The rights and fundamental freedoms listed in Chapter 4 of the Constitution are indivisible, interrelated, and interdependent, and all human rights support and complement one another towards dignified life for all people. Non-discrimination and equality contained in Article 27 of the Constitution are core pillars of human rights, and there can be no human rights of one if one excludes the right to equality and non-discrimination. The exclusion of certain category of human rights and freedoms from the mandate of the Kenya National Human Rights therefore resorts to any Kenyan who has grievances concerning human rights abuses being referred across different institutions for matters that could be dealt with by one institution. Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is that the fact that these human rights have been split between two institutions, it confuses Kenyans because you have to run to different institutions from time to time when you have issues of human rights that you need addressed. And there is no marked different or diametrical differences in functions between the two institutions. And this is results in duplication, an overlap of functions, and duplication of expertise to address similar issues, and of course, a burden to the taxpayer in this country. However, with the establishment of the three commissions at Article 59, the committee observed that human rights agenda has been fragmented, and this is giving poor Kenyans unnecessary challenges in accessing justice. It breeds confusion as one does not know where to take which complaint. A Kenyan with a grievance on human rights violation is required to report to different institutions regarding the one incident of violation of human rights, namely the Kenya National Human Rights Commission and the National Gender and Equality Commission, referred to as GEC, and also the CAJ, the Commission of Administration of Justice. Mr. Speaker, one case that we can use as an example is a case that was reported in our media, by the media. It was well covered. I hope I'll get it without. And this was a case where Somalis were put together at Kasarani Stadium some time back. And that is 2014. Thousands of Kenyan Somalis were rounded up by the police and detained at Kasarani Stadium. They complained to the National Human Rights Commission of various violations, including torture, rape, and discrimination. But the National Human Rights Commission had to again say, this particular aspect of violation does not relate to us. You need to call in GEC or you need to call in the CAJ. And that confusion, of course, made it difficult for the Kenyans to have received the necessary redress to their issues. And due to the limitations with the Kenya Human Rights Statute, the roles of GEC and even CAJ to address the grievances, it actually eventually it ends up being another form of discrimination or unnecessary torture to the Kenyans because they have to talk to many officers on the same issues, and the officers themselves must keep excusing themselves because they will say that is not an issue that is with us. It's not a thing that we want to continue for long. The committee, in its interaction with the three commissions, noted that despite the three Article 59 commissions having related functions, they have also separate offices, and these offices are in different geographical locations within Nairobi. And when you go to the counties, they are also located in different places within the county. And this requires the person with a complaint to move from one location to the other. And therefore, the committee was of the view that the functions of GEC, the National Gender and Equality Commission, and those of the Kenya National Human Rights Commission would be more effectively performed by a single streamlined commission, thus the necessity to merge the functions of the two commissions under reference, that is GEC and Kenya National Human Rights Commission. The bill seeks under Section 2 and 3 of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, at number 14 of 2011, by renaming the commission to establish after a merger a commission to be called the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. The Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. And the bill further amends Section 8 of the Kenya National Human Rights Commission Act to bring under the functions of the new commission the roles that had been given to GEC under the Act of 2011, among them the role of promoting gender equality and freedom from discrimination and dealing with affirmative action policies. The bill also seeks to give the new commission established under the merger the authority to take over complaints already lodged under GEC and to be bound by the legal rights and obligations subsisting before the merger of the two commissions, to take over all the functions, and also to take over all the functions, assets, and liability, rights, powers, and duties of the National Gender and Equality Commission. On the existing commissioners of GEC, they will be absorbed in the new commission in the same terms for the unexpired term of their contract. The committee will also intends to introduce an amendment so that the chairperson of GEC, Mr. Speaker, becomes the first vice chairman or the vice chairperson of the new Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission for their unexpired term, while the officers employed by GEC to be designated by the Public Service Commission on the same terms of service. Finally, the bill, through introduction of a new Section 61, seeks to repeal the National Gender and Equality Commission Act number 15 of 2011. Mr. Speaker, the committee also received and considered the report of the Auditor General on the socio-economic audit of the Constitution that was done during the last session of Parliament, or during the 11th Parliament. In the interaction with the various stakeholders on the Constitution implementation, from the report on socio-economic audit of the Constitution, the committee observed that there was a duplication of functions by some constitutional commissions, resorting to unnecessary expenditure of public resources, which could better be utilized by merging functions of some of the functions. Mr. Speaker, what this seems to state is that under the audit that was done, or the report that was done by the Auditor General on the socio-economic audit of our 2010 Constitution, that duplication and the unnecessary expense was highlighted, and the need to merge some of these commissions was also one of their recommendations. And in line with the Constitution and Standing Order, the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee, in the local daily newspapers of 5th June 2020, invited the public to make written submissions on the bill. The committee also invited certain specific institutional stakeholders it considered important in the implementation of the bill to send written submission and appear and make all clarifications. The committee received various responses. We received responses from the Kenya Commission on Human Rights, the National Gender and Equality Commission, the Commission on Administrative Justice. There was a memorandum from the National Treasury and Planning, Kenya Law Reform Commission, Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice, the Constitutional Commissions and Independent Offices, the National Council of Persons with Disability, the Civil Society Organization Network, the Political Parties Liaison Committee, Association of Older Persons Organizations, the Office of Registrar of Political Party, Representative of Minorities and Marginalized Groups, World March of Women, Kenya Chapter, Premier Peak Leadership Foundation, Sauti ya Wanawake Pwani, Coordination Center for Community Empowerment, Midrift Human Rights Network, among others. The National Gender and Equality Commission argued that Parliament does not have powers to enact legislation that betters the provisions of Article 59, 1, 2, and 3. But again, we received another submission from the Kenya Law Reform Commission and also Office of the Auditor General, that the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice that again clearly informed the committee that Parliament has those powers to enact legislation and give full effect to Article 59 of the Constitution. And of course, the Parliament has a duty under those specific provisions of the Constitution to enact a law to restructure the Kenya National Human Rights Commission and Equality Commission into 2 or more separate commissions, and therefore the committee was within its mandate. The Treasury submitted, made the submission and clearly stated that this will result in savings, and the money saved can be used for to ensure that we have it committed to developmental issues. Mr. Speaker, it's with those remarks that I urge the members to support this intended merger. There is unnecessary duplication. You would notice that if you have a child that is complaining, or a family has been, maybe visited by the police officers, and various human rights have been violated, you advise that the different members of the family will be reporting to different institutions on the same issue, and some of these institutions have managed to escape from liability because the poor Kenyans cannot be able to follow through those tedious and very expensive procedures or processes because of the way we have structured those institutions. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, I beg to move and ask that my Vice Chair, Honorable Karuma, seconds. I beg to move.
Honorable Karuma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the bill. This bill is coming from the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee. And Mr. Speaker, all we are seeking is to reduce unnecessary expenditure around commissions. Honorable Speaker, Article 59 creates Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. At sub-article 4 of Article 59, Parliament is empowered to create other commission or to split that Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Mr. Speaker, people may ask, why are we seeking to remerge the commissions or collapse the National Gender and Equality Commission back to Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission? Honorable Speaker, number one is that we currently have Kenya National Commission on Human Rights instead of what Article 69 prescribes. Article 69, Honorable Speaker, establishes, not 69, but 59, Honorable Members, establishes Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. So number one, we have established Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, not the commission which has been established here, which is Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. And then pursuant to Article 59, sub-article 4, this Parliament, in its wisdom, established the National Gender and Equality Commission. So members of Parliament can see we have a commission borrowing a bit of the name of what the Constitution has properly established. So first, the bill is to make corrections so that Kenya National Commission on Human Rights can be Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission as the Constitution contemplates. Number two, Honorable Speaker and members, if you look at the various provisions of the Constitution, singling out the various segments or sections of our society which require specific protection, you have the youth, you have persons with disability, you have older persons. All their rights are now rights specifically provided for. By creating a commission specific to gender, there is now legitimate clamor from these other segments of the society singled out as beneficiaries of critical rights to have their own commission, so that it would be legitimate if you have National Gender and Equality Commission for the group represented by 001, the persons with disability in Kenya, to also seek that Parliament create a Persons with Disabilities Commission. It is legitimate, if we continue this way, to have the youth clamor for a commission independent of Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and Equality Commission. And Honorable Speaker, you remember a short while back when we were debating the BBI, there was a proposal that independent of even Article 59, sub-Article 4, we have a youth commission, a pure youth commission created besides there. The danger we are running into, Honorable Speaker, is that we will have youth commission, we will have a National Gender and Equality Commission, we'll have persons with disabilities commission, we'll have a commission dealing with minorities and marginalized groups, we'll have a separate commission dealing with, those other issues, older persons and others. And if you approach it that way, Honorable Speaker, then you'll have a situation where, while we are talking of too much expenditure, we are creating bodies all over. Members, remember, these commissions must have a minimum of 3 commissioners and a maximum of 9. So you'll have a situation where several commissions are doing the same thing for different sections of our society, but they are all, taking, funding. And Honorable Speaker, that to me is a critical point. That is why we are saying, let us have Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission as contemplated by the Constitution, properly established that way. And then within that Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, you can now have a department headed by a director also in charge of persons with disabilities. You can have a directorate within the commission in charge of youth matters. You can have a directorate, Honorable Speaker, concerned with gender issues, which is now misinterpreted to mean just women issues. You can have a department, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Janet Ongera, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is Honorable Kaluma right to mislead us that the National Gender and Equality Commission only deals with issues of women? Mr. Speaker, when it's very clear that under the Act forming the National Gender Commission, it clearly says that its mandate by Section 8 of the National Gender and Equality Commission Act was to focus on special interest groups, which include women, youth, persons with disability, children, and older members of the society, minorities, and groups. Is he right, Mr. Speaker, in saying that the Gender Commission specifically deals with one group, and therefore that is women, and that is why they would like to merge it, so that they can now create for other groups, for youth, women, persons with disability, when clearly the Gender Commission's functions are to deal with women, youth, and persons with disability? Thank you.
Well, because you asked whether it's an order, we will learn the Honorable Kaluma is 1.5 minutes. But let me say this, it's 2 minutes actually, that there is nothing out of order. It is because what you have done is to argue your point. So there's nothing out of order. Let him say it, and I'm sure Honorable Jonathan Ongera, when you take to the mic, yes, when your chance comes, you will tear him into pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, but please let him continue living.
Yes, I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for Honorable Janet's favor, I read the provisions of Article 59, sub-Article 1, and the commission it establishes is Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. Honorable Janet, as a senior lawyer to me, understands that what we have is not so named. It is called Kenya National Human Rights Commission. And that is why I'm saying the first intent of the bill is indeed to, correct the error in that nomenclature. Because Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is not what the Constitution establishes. And this is not a commission being established by an act of parliament, but by the Constitution.
So the name of the commission must be Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, unless the constitution is amended. The point I was making also, honorable members, before I was interrupted, is that if you look at the constitution from Article 53, it deals with the specialized sections, or those special sections of the community which require particular human rights protection. Under Article 53, you have the children and their human rights, or their rights as children being specifically catered for the first time under our laws. You have persons with disabilities under Article 54. You have the youth under Article 55. You have minorities and marginalized groups under Article 56. You have older members of society under Article 57. People have been asking why we have people like Dr. Odinga in Yala, not the youth. They don't know that is also a special, category protected by the Constitution. Now, the point I was making is that the way to approach it better is to have Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission as rightly established under the Constitution. Then you have departments dealing with these specialized sections of the society. If you don't, calling it Gender and Equality Commission and then saying in the definition of the Act, the youth, persons with disability, marginalized groups and minorities are included, does not give that picture. And no doubt, Honorable Ongera and honorable members, you see the National Gender and Equality Commission more focused on gender issues than these other issues. And Honorable Janet, that is the explanation I was giving, that even in the most recent clamor for constitutional change, you saw the youth saying we need a commission. The persons with disability are dissatisfied with the National Gender and Equality Commission discharging that mandate. They need their own commission. The other sections, the older persons, will soon request for their own commission. The children will soon seek their own commission. In the long run, based on this constitutional architecture, you will have up to 5 commissions just dealing with human rights issues specific to these sections of the society. And that is why we are saying, in terms of good order, let us have Kenya National Human Rights Commission with these departments. You reduce also government expenses, which is being spent. And honorable members, you see how much we are spending in these commissions. Who's reporting even to this parliament, whose meaningful contribution to those sectors, you don't quite get. Honorable Speaker, with those clarifications, I do not want to water down the good moving by the chair of the committee, Honorable Kioni. I beg to second, and I urge the members to support. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, allow me then to propose the question that the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2020 be now read a second time. The first person on top of my list here, the Honorable Bayaya, but I don't see him in the House. I will therefore give the first bite at it to the Honorable Ongera Janet, the member for Kisii.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me from the onset say that I stand to oppose this bill in the strongest terms. Mr. Speaker, when you see that a bill has been formed, particularly I want to speak about GEC, the National Gender and Equality Commission Bill, Act. It was specifically formed so that the rights of affirmative action interest groups could be considered and highlighted because of the manner in which they had a disadvantage in society. And it was formed to help women, youth, persons with disability, so that they can be raised up in the society. Mr. Speaker, when we hear that the committee, through the chair and his vice, are now telling us, Mr. Speaker, that we need to merge these 2 commissions because of the budget, that it will be more cost-effective. Mr. Speaker, it really saddens me that it's women issues youth issues and persons with disability issues that have been highlighted. There are so many other commissions in this country that are spending money wantonly, yet we have never had any of the committees bringing them to this house so that they can be removed. When we are being told that this commission, which is the only commission we have that is dealing with gender issues and particularly issues of women and youths and persons with disability, that now it's going to be merged with the Human Rights Commission. Mr. Speaker, it behoves me to wonder where we are going when we are actually at the forefront, we as legislators, in trying to empower and raise the status of women in this country. Mr. Speaker, I first of all want to raise some issues that I had, that some of my colleagues were mentioning, that the National Gender and Equality Commission does not cater for issues of youths and persons with disability. Mr. Speaker, right from the onset, if you look at that act, the reason why GEC was formed, it was to try and create an enabling environment, an equality environment, an environment where women, youth, and persons with disability would be able to express their issues. And Mr. Speaker, when now I see that there is need to merge this with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, this is a disabuse on the gains that we women have made over the years. Mr. Speaker, we have fought so that even we can get the 47 seats for women in this house. It was not an easy thing, Mr. Speaker, to reach there. And Mr. Speaker, now to merge and even say that the chairperson of the National Gender Commission should be made a vice chair, it is really a shame, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, therefore, on a very strong point, I oppose this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Sangok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And from the onset, I do support this bill, Honorable Speaker, and I support it 100% and congratulate the committee for coming up with a very important merger, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the National Gender and Equality Commission, the name is very clear. It deals with gender. And at the moment, our weaker gender is women. Probably later on, it may be men will be the weaker gender, but for now, it deals with women issues only, Honorable Speaker, as suggested by the name. Honorable Speaker, again, there is the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Honorable Speaker. And this Kenya National Human Rights Commission, Honorable Speaker, deal with infringement of human rights. Gender-based violence, Honorable Speaker, child labor, and infringement into the rights of persons with disability are all human rights issues, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, sometimes when reporting, it becomes so much of a fuss that people may not know where directly they should report, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have tortured those who are already tortured, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, a child who have been abused in a family by step-brothers, by step-father, Honorable Speaker, or step-mother, Honorable Speaker, they don't know where to report. They go to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, they are told this is a gender issue. They will move from gender issue, they will be told since the child may be a person with disability, they should go and report in the National Council for Persons with Disability. Honorable Speaker, we torture those who are already been tortured, Honorable Speaker. Some of these infringement of human rights, Honorable Speaker, in our tradition are some issues that you don't want to bring them out to the open, Honorable Speaker. When you are supposed to report to 3 commissions, 4 commissions, Honorable Speaker, you better hide the information, Honorable Speaker, because you did not want this information, because some of them, like gender-based violence, Honorable Speaker, sexual abuses, Honorable Speaker, there are issues that are private, and you need confidentiality, Honorable Speaker, and privacy, Honorable Speaker. But how do you get confidentiality and privacy when you have to report to 3 or 4 commissions, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, again, when it comes to the issue of expenditure, Honorable Speaker. We are spending so much dealing with the same issue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I really support the merger of the National Gender and Equality Commission and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission so that they become the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. Otherwise, it will be very expensive to maintain them. Some of us in the disability movement, Honorable Speaker, were saying we also need our own commission, the National Disability Commission of Kenya. I heard in the BBI that they wanted the Youth Commission of Kenya. Honorable, how many commission can we have? Older persons will also demand their own commission, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, children will need their own commission, Honorable Speaker. How many commissions will we have in this country? And are we ready to support financially all these commissions, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, Honorable Kioni committee have just given us away because there are so many other, even state cooperation, leave alone the commissions, that we need to merge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, see the issue of the National Council for Persons with Disability and the National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, and APDK, Honorable Speaker, all of them dealing with the same person called a person with disability and spending. Like the National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya is through an act of parliament. The National Council for Persons with Disability is through an act of parliament, Honorable Speaker. And they all purport to be assisting persons with disability, and their state corporation, they have board members, they have board of trustees, Honorable Speaker, spending a lot of money for nothing. We spend in this country almost 60% in administration. Little goes to the intended beneficiaries, Honorable Speaker. That is why, if you find the National Gender and Equality Commission, they are telling us they need more funds. Why? They don't have offices in every constituency. How can they have offices in every constituency if we have to have 10 commissions dealing with the same issue? Can we have 10 offices in every constituency dealing with the same issue? But when we merge them, the resources will become more. They can be able to have offices in every constituency without any additional fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and I support Honorable Kioni, Honorable Speaker, because he said we will have a transition. In his bill, we'll have a transition. We will have the National Gender and Equality Commission chairperson becoming a vice chair, and the chair of the Kenya National Human Rights Commission becoming the chair of the now new Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this will be able to address all our issues. We will be very comfortable reporting our issues as persons with disability to the Kenya National Human Rights. Human, you know, I'm a human being created in the image and likeness of God, and Equality Commission. But I'm not comfortable as a person with disability to report my issues as a person with disability to National Gender and Equality Commission, Honorable Speaker. I'm not comfortable, Honorable Speaker. Even I know the children are not comfortable. Older persons are not comfortable, Honorable Speaker, because the name itself betrays the function of that particular commission, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this suggestion is a suggestion that I urge this House, let us all support, let us merge this one, and let it be the beginning of cutting on our wage bill. Currently, our wage bill is way beyond 53%, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having a wage bill of above 53% mean that this country will go into an economic meltdown, because we cannot be able to afford to maintain all these boards, Honorable Speaker, and all these commissions. Honorable Speaker, some of these commissions were created politically so that we can have soft landing spots to friends, to relatives, to even brothers, Honorable Speaker, so that when somebody, a politician is defeated, they have a soft landing spot. If I have a girlfriend that I need her to be having an earning, they have a soft landing spot, because we have so many commissions, we have so many parastatals. Imagine a country like Kenya having more than 270 state corporations. Doing what, Honorable Speaker? There are so many state corporations dealing with droughts. There are so many state corporations, Honorable Speaker, dealing with famine. There are so many state corporations, Honorable Speaker, dealing with forest. Honorable Speaker, we need to lean up and clean our state corporation, merge them if it is possible, like the way the committee led by Honorable Kioni have shown us the way. When this House support this merger, it will save a lot of money for Kenyans, and it will be the direction that this House will take, and this House will have a legacy of cutting on the exorbitant wage bill without laying off workers and without necessarily, Honorable Speaker, reducing services that are delivered to citizens of this country. So, Honorable Speaker, I do support 100% and urge the whole House, including Honorable Fatuma Gedi, let us support this one for the sake of this country, for the sake of saving, and for the sake of even women being in the mainstream of the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission. We need those equalities as a person with disability. We need those equalities as marginalized groups. We need those equalities for those who are women, but we can all have in one house, one umbrella that will be decentralized to even ward level, to constituency level, so that it can deal with these issues once and for all. The National Gender and Equality Commission is based in Nairobi. Somebody from Turkana have to spend around 5,000 to travel to come and seek their services in Nairobi. It is not possible, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Obara Akinyi, member for Kabodo Kaspur.
Janet, what was this all about? What about it?
The Honorable Obara, you have. You had.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I stand to oppose. And Mr. Speaker, NGEK is the only commission that fully handle matters that affect mainly it's gender, but mainly women. And I believe that women issues, which are a constituency on their own, stand to be lost in this body that encompasses all those other areas. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand to ask that we retain NGEK as is, and we can set other commissions that handle the matters of disability and all those other things. Mr. Speaker, there's one area that previous speaker mentioned, which I thought was a bit demeaning to the women fraternity. Mr. Speaker, there is no way that when you talk about merging and on the same breath, you are also talking about those commissions that people put their girlfriends. And I would beg that he withdraws that statement. Thank you very much. I oppose.
Let me hear the voice of the youth, the Honorable Member for Dagoretti South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And yes, I am youthful, but by any definition, I am not youth, because by the UN definition, youth is anyone up to the age of 24, and by the definition of our Constitution, is anyone under 40. So I want to own the term youthful MP, but I am not youth by definition of the law. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to stand and support this bill by the committee. And even before I get into the flesh of this bill, I'd like to commend this committee, Mr. Chair. I think it is important for us to recognize the work done by hard-working committees, and the COIC committee is one of those very hard-working committees, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have had opportunity to appear before this committee under the able leadership of the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, leading very esteemed and ranking members of this House, the Honorable Kaluma, the Honorable TJ Kajwang, and other honorable esteemed ranking members. And I do want to say that this is one of the committees that deserves a mention and a commendation in the 12th Parliament for the work that they have done in this session. Mr. Speaker, this bill is not only timely, it is even urgent, Mr. Speaker. It was urgent many years ago. the bringing together of these Article 59 commissions, Mr. Speaker, and bringing them under one roof is important business, Mr. Speaker. The new Kenyan National Human Rights and Equality Commission is a timely idea, Mr. Speaker. As we have been told here, there have been situations where Kenyans have been aggrieved, and even one homogeneous group of Kenyans has had to go to different doors, different buildings, different organizations to seek restitution and justice, while they could have gotten the same from under one roof, Mr. Speaker. On only that one count, that we can be able to handle our rights issues from one commission, Mr. Speaker, I do support. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the proliferation of commissions is not in the interest of anyone in this country, up to and including the marginalized groups in our community. The women do not benefit when we proliferate commissions, Mr. Speaker. The youth do not benefit when there is a proliferation of commissions. The marginalized people, the people living with disability. If we could get one super commission, as is being proposed here, under the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission, then we would be walking the path that the new constitution had envisioned. Mr. Speaker, there could be a few issues that can be raised on gender matters, Mr. Speaker. But we've got to remind ourselves that when we as a country were crafting the Constitution of Kenya 2010, we were all in agreement that there are some issues that will be transitional issues, that will have a sunset clause, Mr. Speaker. So we've got to accept 10 years after the promulgation of the Constitution, it is time to start retiring some of these issues that had sunset clauses, that had a timeline to them, and let us start consolidating our institutions so that we can have a thinner, leaner, more effective government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the effort to bring equality issues under one roof is the second reason why I support this bill. Mr. Speaker, as this new commission takes office, they have their work cut out for them. Mr. Speaker, this is a commission that will have to fight for its independence. They will have to elbow for their space in this country. They require their independence, Mr. Speaker, as has been envisioned by the crafters of the Constitution, because some of the offenders of human rights are actually very powerful people, very powerful institutions, very powerful entities. So this commission will have on its entry as a first order of business to stamp their authority and to also showcase their independence when they're handling very high-profile cases of human rights abuses. Mr. Speaker, over 10 years, over a decade after we promulgated the Constitution, this country is still grappling with very basic rights, Mr. Speaker. I, as a city dweller, know that the Constitution does guarantee proper and quality education for all. The same Constitution guarantees water, clean, affordable drinking and domestic water. The same Constitution guarantees sufficient, nutritious food for every individual in this country. Mr. Speaker, 10 years after the promulgation of this Constitution, some of these basic rights are still a pipe dream. They are still so far-fetched for some of the people who are dealing in the capital city, the biggest city in East and Central Africa. So as we talk human rights, this commission will have to start from the basics as we approach, as we go on to the more loftier aspirations of better human rights. Mr. Speaker, I did say that some of the offenders of human rights are very high-ranking officials, institutions, and entities. One of the biggest offenders of human rights, Mr. Speaker, is the state itself. Just in the recent history, we realize that the state has been competing with COVID in killing its own people, Mr. Speaker. The number of people who have been killed in this duration of lockdowns in this duration of cessation of movements, in this duration of curfews, is competing with the number who have been killed by the pandemic, COVID. So the question begs, Mr. Speaker, what kind of a country is this where the state is in constant war with its own people? These are people killed by the bullet that is bought by the taxes that the common man pays, Mr. Speaker. So the Kenyan National Human Rights and Equality Commission has its work cut out for itself, Mr. Speaker. The extrajudicial killings that we witness every day in the city are an issue that should be addressed by this commission. Mr. Speaker, it is in this duration of the pandemic that we have seen untold demolitions, untold offending of human rights, where we have criminalized trade in this city. Today, Mr. Speaker, it is more dangerous to be a trader in this city than it is to be a criminal. You stand a higher chance to be shot by a stray bullet in this city if you are a small hustler, a small trader, than you are if you are a criminal. So, Mr. Speaker, where agencies like the Kenya Police Service is failing, where the judicial system is faltering, where the Commission of Administrative Justice is failing, is a gap that needs to be filled by the newly reconstituted Kenya National Human Rights and Equalities Commission if we pass this bill, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as I have said, I am in full support of this bill. I would want to urge some of our honorable ladies who may be having a small contestation on the issue of gender to understand that the proliferation of commissions in this country does not work in their interest. In fact, it works to counter to the effort that they are trying to push. Let us mainstream their issues, the issues of women, the issues of the youth and the marginalized, the issues of the people living with disability. Rather than proliferate them, let us mainstream them so that their issues can be tackled on the high table, and that is what this bill seeks to do by bringing the Article 59 commissions under one roof, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with that, I do support. And the final issues I would like to mention is that there is a matter that I brought to this committee, Mr. Speaker, very well handled by this committee. I do pray that this House and the relevant institutions that have been mandated by this commission to take up the petition that I brought to this committee will step up to the plate and do as was prescribed by this committee on the issue of our esteemed civil servants who retire without benefits and packages, making it so dangerous to work in some of these offices that the president appoints some of the citizens to, so that we make the public service not a career killer, but a career builder. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity, and I vehemently and strongly support the
Honorable Kiaria, the sanctity to life, the sanctity of life, the right to life can never be gainsaid. Yes, so that is the ultimate. And well spoken. And you do a good job in Dagoretti South. Now I understand why you are speaking to this right to food and all this. I know that you are feeding the young ones there. It is a good thing that you are doing. Very well. The next one on my list here is the Honorable Odhiambo Akoth, member for Suba North. But I don't seem to see her. I know she would have loved to speak to this. I will give the next opportunity then to the Honorable Adagala Kahai, member for Vihiga.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, protect me from 001. Mtoto wa Kenya huyu.
You are adequately protected, my woman representative. The Honorable Sankok does not mean any ill will towards you. It's just appreciating that you addressed similar colors to him. Yes, proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the protection. I know Sankoko is in the cold, is admiring to join me in the Amman National Congress. You are very much welcome, Honorable Sankoko. And your position nomination is guaranteed, you will get. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to speak on this matter, on this human rights amendment bill. Mr. Speaker, I was disturbed in my thinking when an honorable member, and I think for that reason is Honorable Sankok, when he said that when these commissions are made, girlfriends and what of people are picked to head or to do those kind of things. I think that is very wrong, that when you are demeaning the women, and you should not, the women are the future. So know that a woman is your mother, a woman is your daughter, a woman is your aunt, and they are given these positions in the right manner they deserve. So do not demean women. Women have a right to be employed or to be given these slots. Thank you so much for apologizing. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to support this. More of these commissions should be even be put in place.
Just hold on, the Honorable Adagala. The Honorable Ali Fatuma, what is out of order?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, this is House of Record. If indeed what we're hearing from Honorable Adagala and also Honorable, I think another Honorable member mentioned about girlfriend being appointed to this position, Mr. Speaker, we cannot proceed with this matter. Honorable Sankok has to apologize or substantiate the girlfriends that he knows that were given this position, Mr. Speaker. We are offended as women and we cannot continue with this discussion, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Yes. Apologize.
The Honorable Gede, you must know the rules. If that point had been raised when the Honorable Sankok was on his feet, then the Speaker would have dealt with it. But the Honorable Sankok? Yes, I don't think anybody appoints his girlfriend to any position in this country. People are appointed because they have qualifications.
Honorable Speaker, let me apologize because I did not actually mean to be rude to the women folk because Raila appointed his brother to Yala and that there are possibilities of appointing even girlfriends and boyfriends. So I do sincerely apologize and withdraw and should be expunged from the Hansard because I didn't really mean that.
That is enough. The Honorable Adagala, proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that even more commissions should be put in place. Like we should have the Women Commission, we should have the Youth Commission, and even the Children Commission. These commissions should be put in place so that they can work for the people of Kenya. We don't want to see any group left behind. We want to see every section covered very well. And even the positions should be distributed in the regional, in all regions in Kenya. Because right now, keeping in mind, we have a shortage of job opportunities. Our youth are languishing in the streets. Our sons and daughters have degrees and they're just languishing in the streets. So if such commissions can be put in place so that our children can get employment, Mr. Speaker, sir, I support and thank you very much.
The Honorable Shabir, member for Kisumu East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I stand to oppose this proposal. Never has it been common sense to merge two sick institutions unless there is a common strength, unless there is synergy. These two have no synergy. They were working on different issues. You cannot consolidate. If you are saying that you're trying to consolidate because of expenses, it doesn't make sense. if you're consolidating because the two institutions are not serving the purpose for which they were initially put together by the Constitution, then you need to have some sort of report, some sort of research coming and showing us this. There is nothing. All it is that somebody somewhere wishes to restructure this particular two institutions that were part and parcel of Chapter 4 and part and parcel of the commissions that we set up. And I was in CKRC, and Honorable Kenny, I don't know whether you were there, and we took a long, long time trying to work out how this can be done. In 2011, with the wisdom of Parliament, these were split into three. The idea is to see which one of these three or which two of these three are not working. You cannot say, because the Commission must have between 3 and 9, we are now going to reduce costs by putting the commissions together. You can only put certain things together. You cannot mix oranges with lemons. Or you can, but you cannot mix oranges with apples. And I think that is basic thing. The basic reason that we went through the Constitution was the Bill of Rights, one of the best in this world. The basic reason that we went to the Constitution is we said we need to recognize the right of women and gender. There was also the issue of human rights. Human rights has been taken out of perspective. As you are saying yourself, human rights are decided by people in the Western world. For what is a human right for them is not a human right for us. Tomorrow, these boys who are burning schools, they say it's their human right. What human right? In African society, the right is the one that is earned, not the one that is given to you because some Westerners said that. But we're not undermining the question of human right. Let that happen. I was, Honorable Speaker, in Panama when this issue of the Somalis came up and the issue of them being put together in human rights. The situation was clearly out of place, and it was put with a different reason to embarrass Kenya. The situation was not to say whatever the reason was security, they forgot other issues. So the issue, you cannot bring Mheshimiwa Kioni, that human rights failed because of that. Human rights failed because they have lost direction. Correct that direction. And if the Equality Commission is in the right direction, please take it there. Under the commission which was established under section 59(4), was in Chapter 6. It's in the Bill of Rights, and is fully implemented. Until they're fully implemented, they cannot be changed by resolution. It has to be through referendum. Article 255(1). You cannot, in fact, use restructuring via administrative power that you are trying to use. There has to be more to make a form of putting these things together. So I disagree, and the amendment of the powers that you are quoting, 255(19) or 1G, is incorrect. I think the merging will erase all gains made in the promotion of gender inequality. It is giving a loss of strategic clarity and focus, and the real danger is to mainstream the main issues and the gains that we have made in gender and mix them up with human rights. They're two very different elements. And if you are wondering about costs, reduce the commissioners to 3 each. That will be better than the 9 of the vice chair of this, vice chair of that. You are introducing what is called conflicting interests in one body. And we are going to go like the Kenya Meat Commission or something else. This is going to be destroyed. You're trying to destroy something that was put together with the commission. This proposal is misconstrued, mismatched, misadvised, and is with bad intention. And I totally object to this particular merging. You must consolidate and your strength. You cannot merge your weaknesses. Consolidate your strengths, and this proposal here is not consolidating strengths. It is going through the back door, trying to alter the ideas and the visions and the mission that we had when we were in CKRC between the years 2000 and before. Where were you when we were being tear gassed? You were not there. Where were you when this was happening? You were not there. I was there. And the situation is, that is why 001 is walking around like a king. It's because we gave him that power. We gave him that recognition. And that's why he grew up. Now, I sit in the Finance Special Funds Committee. And in Special Funds, they wanted to bring a Weasel Fund, Youth Fund, Women's Fund, all together. Up to date, now 5 years, 4 years, they've not been able to do a thing. What they have done is they've destroyed whatever work the Weasel Fund was doing, the Youth Fund was doing, the Women's Fund was doing. They have actually put a stop at it. For 5 years, my constituency have not had a single Weasel loan. So the situation is, this is a bad intention of trying to take this back and bring this country back to where it came from and affect the gains that, and reverse the gains that we've made in gender. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Shakil, this is not the chair's personal bill. This is a bill being sponsored by the committee. So don't make it look like it is the personal property of the member for Ndaragu. It is the property of the CIOC committee. The Honorable Cecil Mbarire.
Thank you, Mr. I have a memory of where the National Gender and Equality Commission came from. Mr. Speaker, the women of Kenya were deeply involved in the constitution-making process that gave birth to the 2010 Constitution. And they were as clear as day and night that there was no other way of addressing issues affecting women in this country other than having an independent commission whose main purpose was to deal on matters, gender matters affecting women. Now, while it makes economic sense that we should consolidate and, enjoy the economies of scale and make sure people are able to access these services closer home, the experience we are having as women in this assembly is actually that our fears were true. That even despite coming up with a gender commission, we still are having to fight in every budget cycle for more budgetary allocation to the gender commission. That explains to you how issues women are viewed by a majority of people in positions of authority, including in this House, Mr. Speaker. So when you tell us that we will even be better taken care of when we are under a bigger umbrella commission, we don't get it. Because the experience practically is that actually we are not getting what we ought to get so that the Gender Commission can perform their functions better, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question I would want to know is who was involved in the drafting of this bill? How much public participation took place to arrive to this decision? Was there a study or a survey done, or even any form of consultative process done to understand from the women of Kenya whether they were satisfied with the commission as is, and whether they were willing for this commission to be put under an umbrella, bigger commission? If that didn't happen, we are doing a disservice to the women of this country. If that didn't happen, Mr. Speaker, we must remember some of the things that were raised in court concerning any effort to amend the constitution of this country. That a few people cannot sit and out of their own, motion decide, you know what, we don't need the gender commission here, let us put it here, and you do not go back to the rationale and justification that was brought forth by the stakeholders that made that happen. So unless we are involved, I wish to tell the chair of ICIOC, unless you involve the women of Kenya, unless you have a document to bring to us, to show us that the Gender Commission has not performed as should, and the reasons why it may not have performed as it should, we are not going to board this bus. Because this is a dangerous route, and this will be dangerous for the women of this country, and we will not allow it, Mr. Speaker. So I urge the members of this House, please don't use economic sense to make a decision on a matter so critical for the women of this country. And we keep asking this one question. How come when it comes to women, matters economics are brought forth? But when we are dealing with other issues, including wasting money on things like BBI, matters economic are never mentioned. So on this one, Mr. Speaker, I say a big no. I urge this House not to support this bill, and I ask the women in this House to come out and say no. And the men who have supported matters gender, please don't board this bus that has been boarded by one Honorable Sankok. We say a big no.
Okay, now you have said it. Let's hear the Honorable Wangaya Aseka, member for Kuisero.
Thank you, Speaker, for this opportunity, and I rise to support this. Mr. Speaker, we should know also, apart from women, we have other groups that also are of interest. We have youth, and we have all people living with disability. Reducing this discussion to women may cause us to deviate from the core objectives of this amendment. So, Speaker, I support this bill, one, because it improves the coordination of activities within the interest groups. As I look at it, it brings all these groups under one roof, under one coordination. Matters of coordination...
Order. Members, please give Honorable Aseka time to contribute.
So, Mr. Speaker, thank you for that protection. This bill improves the aspects of coordination within these interest groups. Two, Mr. Speaker, it increases the efficiency within these groups, Mr. Speaker. Matters to do with youth will be handled. Matters to do with women will be handled. Matters to do with the children will be handled. And matters to do with people living with disability will be handled under one roof. Mr. Speaker, lastly, it reduces unnecessary expenditures. One, number of commissioners manning these various commissions will be reduced. Two, Mr. Speaker, money meant for recurrent expenditures and other overheads will be saved and then may be diverted to addressing many core issues that requires financial attention. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Honorable Fatuma Gedi.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank you. And from the onset, the chair from, Mr. Speaker, you need to protect me from the chair. He's the chair for CIOC. He's trying to sweet talk me not to oppose, but Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I want to speak as the chair for the 47 women representative. And from the onset, Mr. Speaker, I wish to oppose the bill. And the reasons are, Mr. Speaker, as a women, through the Gender Commission, we have gained a lot. We have gained a lot in terms of sensitization or sensitizing women into participating for leadership, and also sensitizing women on their rights, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the bill, at some point, the chair has a point. But again, Mr. Speaker, he has a point, yes, but again, Mr. Speaker, you have to be very sensitive to the reality, Mr. Speaker. When this bill was being prepared, Mr. Speaker, the chair of the COAC, who did he consult in terms of the stakeholders? The stakeholders are many, Mr. Speaker. Where was the public participation for this bill being done? Me included, Mr. Speaker, and the chair for 47, nobody has approached or even gone to the counties to seek. Mr. Speaker, please protect me from Sankok. I've been listening to you.
Honorable Sankok,
yeah,
it even
please.
seems that the bill is your baby, is it? So you really want to give an opportunity to colleagues to, to debate nicely and give them time. From where you are sitting, whenever you make any direct comment, it actually interferes in my own thinking on the thought process of the Honorable Fatuma Gedi.
Yeah,
so please allow her to contribute. We have a few more members who will contribute. And then you will make your decision one way or the other. Proceed, Honorable Gedi.
Mr. Speaker, there is no commission which is superior than the other. Mr. Speaker, there is again a gender that has suffered before and continues to suffer through injustice. There is a gender, Mr. Speaker, who up to today have not achieved what they ought to achieve. And we have a society, Mr. Speaker, which is so unfair to the women of this country. Mr. Speaker, empowered leaders or empowered women, if you empower a woman or women, you've empowered a society. What the Gender Commission has done to the Kenyan women is today, they have sensitized in the rights of women. And women have many rights. Rights to properties, rights to education, rights to political space. They have rights to inheritance. So, Mr. Speaker, we have that in a lot of challenges. And Mr. Speaker, women ought to have privacy to their informations, privacy to their issues. When you try to now bring together two commissions that does not have the responsibility or does not work together in some issues, Mr. Speaker, to me, I feel we are taking back the gains of the women. And again, Mr. Speaker, look at the proposed name, Kenyan Human Rights Commission. I don't know, and there's no even gender. So from the proposed name, Mr. Speaker, it is so unfair. We feel that you're killing the Gender Commission, belittling the Gender Commission, bringing up the Human Rights Commission under the Gender Commission. That way, Mr. Speaker, we are killing the hope, the inspiration, the efforts of the Gender Commission towards the Kenyan women. Mr. Speaker, I really want to urge the committee to go to the drawing board and be sensitive to the women. Not only women, but the Kenyan people, because women are mothers, Mr. Speaker, they are sisters, they are wives. They contribute to their taxpayers. They are 50% of the population of this country. Mr. Speaker, you cannot ignore such a population. So my humble appeal to the chair is please kindly go to the drawing board. And if we have a problem with the commission, Mr. Speaker, in terms of even the wage bill, I heard people talking about the wage bill. You can bring a report based on performance. Look at how has the Human Rights Commission performed, because we have a lot of issues right now that they have not actually. To me, the Kenyan human rights have turned itself to be activists who, when they want to please certain quarters, they comment about issues. When it comes to the ordinary Kenyans, they close their eyes. We have a lot of killings, Mr. Speaker. We have a lot of gender-based violence, Mr. Speaker. We have a lot of injustice in this country, Mr. Speaker. We even have officers, police officers, who are beating or killing ordinary Kenyans. And for me, the Kenyan human rights, they ought to speak or come up and stand with the Kenyans. But instead, they have decided to become politicians and activists for certain political parties. Those are the issues that we need to address, Mr. Speaker. In terms of performance, can we compare the Gender Commission? What have they achieved since it was formed vis-a-vis the Human Rights Commission? Let us look at performance. Let us not just come with proposals or bill here to abolish or merge two commissions that do two different responsibilities, Mr. Speaker. For me, Mr. Speaker, I feel we are not fair to the Kenyans and we are not fair to the women. Because where are we going? The only hope today we have and the only way that we can go and raise our issues and with confidence and privacy is that through the Gender Commission, Mr. Speaker. So 2022, Mr. Speaker, we are talking about empowering women, having a lot of women in the politics, having women governors, having elected women senators. We are looking at where we can achieve the two-third gender rule, Mr. Speaker. By doing today, merging the Gender Commission with the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, it's like we are taking back our gains, Mr. Speaker, and demoralizing the women who really want to participate in the political and seats. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the House and the people who really believe in women leadership and the people who really fought for the two-third gender rule that this is not where we want to go. This is not where we want to take our daughters, Mr. Speaker. This is not where we want to go as a country. We are really demoralizing the Kenya. Kindly, Chair, let us go back to the drawing board and be sensitive to the reality. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker.
Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, let me congratulate the committee for doing a good work. Honorable Kioni, who have never had to really differ with him. Let me say on this one, I differ. I therefore rise to oppose this bill. Mr. Speaker, why I do is I was the secretary of the cabinet committee that actually worked and looked at Article 59, Section 4, that actually required that you can actually split the Kenya Human Rights and Equality Commission into two or more commissions. And what the cadred cabinet committee actually decided to do was to actually get it into three: the Kenya Human Rights Commission, the Commission on Administrative Justice, and the Gender and Equality Commission. Mr. Speaker, what has happened that probably has motivated this from the committee, which I can understand, I think it has looked like this is a Gender Equality Commission rather than Gender and Equality Commission. Because if you do that, then it reduces the whole issue of that commission to gender issues and leaves out the equality. Maybe what would have happened was to find out how we enhance the equality element, which is actually a little bit beyond gender. I would have probably said, Mr. Speaker, that I would have left this commission as Gender Commission and removed the equality and still put it back to the Human Rights and Equality Commission and emphasize the equality element. Why do I say that, Mr. Speaker? Because if you now, as the objective of this bill is to actually abolish this commission and to move its functions to the Human Rights and Equality Commission, the bigger loss there is actually the gender issues. It is the gender issues that are actually lost. Even in terminology, you will never hear it again. And what that means is we are actually equating gender issues with human rights and equality issues. This is not true. It is broader than this. Gender issues, I think we might start by defining gender. Gender is basically a social construct in the society as to the roles of the different sexes in relations to what we assign to the various sexes. And this is something that is changing constantly with the society. Even if you look at professions, there were professions that were initially thought that these were for females, these were for males. That is absolutely changing. The roles in the homes, these were the roles of the women, these are the roles of men. These are actually completely changing, and in particularly with advancing technology. So if we do that, then even if you say that there are other special groups, even if you say you look at children, when you come to the issue of children, when there are issues to be addressed, when it is a female child, you actually meet totally different problems. Even if you look at refugees, when you are dealing with females, you meet totally different problems. And if you then look at even opportunities, for a long time, this social contract of what sexes do has actually obstructed the growth of women. Right now, many people see gender basically has to do with women. That is not true. We have a big problem in the society today which is actually affecting males, and we are not addressing it, which actually this commission should address. The issue of femicide, this thing of a lot of women being killed, the issue is actually we did not balance the boy-child issue and the girl-child issue. That's an issue that we need to address today. Even if you look at the mobilization of people, even in small businesses, you see a very clear distinction between men and women. And this is what, even if you look at distribution of jobs in offices, you see a clear distinction. And these are the issues that actually, the gender issues that needed to be addressed. And I must say that actually with the new constitution, there actually has been a loss, a little bit of loss to the gender issues, particularly if you relate gender specifically now to women. In issues like gender mainstreaming, so that if you look at the budget, how does the budget affect issues that relate to women as members of the society? Even the provision of water, for example, and dealing with women in rural areas who have to go around looking for water. These are much, much broader issues than just men and women. So to that extent, my idea is that this is leading to further loss. When we were mainstreaming gender issues, you were actually saying, even in ministries, how do you streamline? In education, how do you streamline so that the issues of gender, unfortunately now it is mainly women, but very soon it will become men as well. I mean, even in the legal, and when people talk of support of a spouse during divorce, people started to think that it is only women who should be supported, but issues are changing. It will now come, and we may need to find out how men are supported during a divorce if they are not equally empowered. So, Mr. Speaker, in my view, I think if we go this way, I think we lose out on the gender issues. And, you know, this has been a very emotive issue even in Parliament, but mainly because it has been looked at to a large extent as a women issue. There are countries...
Point of order. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
I find that the House is not well constituted. Is it that, I think my eyes are clear. Mr. Speaker, do we have enough quorum to have the House in session?
Well, you know, once you raise that kind of an intervention, my hands are tied. Never mind the fact that you've just walked in yourself, Honorable Tuwei, but I will, of course, ascertain whether we have any numbers required. We have the numbers required. If we don't, of course, the standing order is clear. So I don't think you will not finish, Honorable Nyekal, because this is a matter that has been raised. All right, so we must dispense with that. We don't seem to have the requisite quorum, so therefore I order the bell to be rung for 10 minutes. The quorum bell. Honorable members, the standing orders are very clear. Honorable Sankok, when a quorum bell has been rung, you do not leave. So members, we should be clear with that.
Hakuna. Asante. Yeah, thank you. It is 18 of it. 9 a.m. Tomorrow is 10. Tomorrow is Wednesday. 10, yeah. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 10.
Order. Order. Honorable members, it's quite evident that we may not be able to achieve the requisite quorum. 10 minutes have, the bell has rung for 10 minutes. We have not. The Honorable Nyikal, you will have 3 minutes when the debate resumes. And honorable members, it's now my duty and the time being 6:03 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, the 10th November at 9:30 a.m.